9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, our events are taking place around the state today to remember the lives lost in the 9/11 terrorist attacks. In Weber County today, Jenny Taylor is working with the Weber Remembers 9/11 project to help educate people about what happened on that fateful day.
The goal is to train, honor, and engage. We want to train you how to be a good leader, service-oriented, honor those who are serving, and above all, we want to engage you in service because we think that's where people come together. That's where you feel patriotism. That's where you bridge the gap between young and old, black and white, whatever divisions we have in our country. We unite through service.
The event is taking place at the Golden Spike Events Center, and it runs through September 6th. An 18-year-old has died after a shooting in Sugar House near 9th East and 21st South near a Walgreens early Sunday morning. Witnesses tell Salt Lake City police a fight happened just before the shooting and a suspect pulled away in a car afterward. Police are asking anyone with information about the shooting to come forward. No arrests have been made. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Buffalo Bills welcome back a familiar face to their lineup in tonight's first Monday Night Football game of the season.
It will be Damar Hamlin's first regular season game since that frightening on-field cardiac arrest back in January. Ironically, that was also a Monday Night Football game.
That was, of course, but reporting on the Buffalo Bills, ABC's DeMarco Morgan says Hamlin did play in the preseason, and most of his time in the game tonight will be on special teams. The Bills will be playing the New York Jets, with Aaron Rodgers now leading the team at quarterback. Your money at this moment, the Dow right now is up 47 points. That's 0.1%. We're at 34,623. Coming up, mostly sunny today with a chance of rain tomorrow. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 9:03. Mornings can be hard enough, just getting yourself going.
We try to make it a little easier with news and weather from comfortable, trusted anchors and reporters.
Join us on Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9
on KSL News Radio.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter. Locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
When my daughter gets a cold, I have a secret weapon. DayQuil Kids Berry from Vicks. DayQuil Kids is specially formulated to treat kids' most bothersome cold and cough symptoms quickly. And the best part is that DayQuil Kids Berry tastes really great. Aren't you supposed to be resting? Maybe.
DayQuil Kids Berry. The kids' berrylicious daytime congestion, coughing, stuffy head, stuffy nose, just for kids medicine. Safe for kids 6 years plus.
Want a new car at a used car price? I'm Josh Osborne with Volkswagen Southtown, and right now we have a surplus of new cars, so everything is seriously discounted.
Get up to $4,000 off the 23 Taos, $5,000 off the 23 Tiguan, $6,000 off the 23 Atlas, and up to $10,000 off the ID4 EV. Hurry in before we run out of 2023s.
Don't miss our surplus sale. Visit VWSouthtown.com.
Financing through VCI OAC. Call 801-903-2514 for details.
Embrace the majesty of the great outdoors and celebrate Bryce Canyon National Park's 100th birthday at Ruby's Inn. Skip the long lines and expensive hotel rooms and escape to the American West. Ride, hike, bike, and play among the towering hoodoos right in Ruby's backyard. Embrace your inner cowboy and take a guided horseback tour across the rim of Bryce Canyon. And no trip to Ruby's Inn is complete without dinner and a show at Ebenezer's Bar and Grill. After a long day of adventure, spend your nights in a cozy hotel room or camp out in a rustic campground. With affordable and varied lodging options, any family will feel right at home at Ruby's Inn. For some extra savings, be sure to take advantage of the hot deals running throughout the year. This year, treat your family to the adventure of a lifetime. Book your trip today at rubysin.com. That's rubysin.com.
Fall in love with the Five Alls restaurant this autumn season. A Salt Lake City original featuring a cozy atmosphere. Perfect for all your special occasions.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Andy?
Well, it's still a mess on I-15 in Utah County trying to get between Orem and Pleasant Grove. A crash just before the Pleasant Grove exits blocking the 3 right lanes. The delays stretch back almost to University Parkway. Geneva Road's not a good, it's not going to save you a lot of time. It is backed up from 400 North all the way under the freeway up into Pleasant Grove. State Street, a pretty good alternate until you have to get close to going back to the freeway, and then you're going to see slowdowns on all the roads trying to get back to I-15. South 15 still backed up, approaching that crash for some reason. And then we have the 2 right lanes blocked going from Springville down into Spanish Fork that's causing some backups. In Farmington, a crash near Lagoon has traffic backed up on both I-15 and Highway 89 as they come together, and a lot of people are shifting on to Legacy instead. Is the IRS harassing you? Are tax problems ruining your life? Let Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox help. Visit taxhelput.com. That's taxhelput.com. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, plenty of sunshine today with a high of 87, but then things start to cool off with a chance of storms Tuesday through Thursday. Right now it's 68 degrees at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
We have news happening all over the world. We've got the situation with the earthquake in Morocco. We're going to get a live update from Utah's National Guard. We actually have Guard members in Morocco, Dave. They're calling the show today. We're also seeing that police in Pennsylvania, somehow this escaped killer managed to get outside the perimeter. They've been looking for him for how long, you said? 12 days?
12 days.
12 days they've been looking for this escaped killer who escaped prison 12 days ago. And then, of course, all the coverage we're going to continue today, marking it's 22 years since 9/11.
Yeah.
Since 9/11, when planes were essentially falling from the sky. And 2,977 Americans died that day.
It's 9:08. It's time for the launch.
Sequence engaged.
And here are 3 things Debbie wants you to know.
Countdown. 3.
Over in Morocco, almost 2,500 people dead. And it's a very powerful earthquake. Officials describing this as the country's strongest earthquake in more than a decade. And like I said, the Utah National Guard, it's kind of a coincidence, the timing here. They're in Morocco for training. They were there while it happened. They're calling in about 25 minutes.
What makes this so shocking, Debbie, is earthquakes don't typically kill thousands of people. It can do a lot of damage, but it's typically to structures. It doesn't necessarily lead to a lot of deaths, but 2,500 is an extremely high number. And we'll check in with that Utah National Guard that is there and why they were in the area.
Countdown. 2.
We've talked about this so often over the years, the number of Americans killed, all of those killed on 9/11, 2,977, and 6,000 people injured that day. To this day, this is a statistic, David, that I didn't know, and these are family members, husbands, wives, brothers, sisters who were lost, but 40% of the remains have not been identified.
Yeah, and just this week, 2 people were identified through DNA because the technology has improved so far in the last several years. They were able to identify the first 2 people in a couple years. Sometimes, though, when we talk about the lives lost on 9/11, we think about those 3,000 lives that were lost in the plane attacks. But remember, there was a 20-year war that followed in Afghanistan, and the number of U.S. military men and women that were lost in Afghanistan was nearly the same number as 9/11.
Launch countdown. 1.
I was driving in this morning and I looked at the clock and I was listening to Tim and Amanda, and they reminded me as I was driving that this was the moment. This was the moment it happened. And back in New York at the 9/11 memorial, they began reading the names as they do every year.
James Marcel Cartier. Sharon Ann Carver. Vivian Kasaldik.
And my mind went back to 9/11, 2001, Dave, and I was live on KSL5 TV when the plane started to fly into the towers. And at first we thought it was like a Cessna, a small plane, and then we quickly realized this was, so much more. And then I remember just this empty, hollow feeling that I had, and then all the planes were grounded, and the skies became silent. You know, I was at the memorial this summer, and all of those feelings just came washing back to me as I stood and looked at those thousands of names etched right at ground zero.
What I will never forget is this happened 3 months after I started working in the news business. I was still very young. And again, 22 years ago, I was a video editor at the time. And I was the first video editor to the station when it happened. And Debbie, watching the raw footage of everything as it was coming in, these pictures and these visuals, they're very common. We've seen them a million times. I will never forget what it was like to see that plane crash into World Trade Center. It's a haunting image that I will never forget.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The launch.
Commence.
We have to go back to 1993. When that's where this story really does begin. And so often I think we kind of forget that. Back in 1993, bin Laden was unsuccessful at his attempt to level the Twin Towers. One of his trainees parked a truck bomb that exploded at the base of the World Trade Center. It killed 6 people, it injured 1,000. It did not level the Twin Towers as planned. Move forward to 2001. He uses hijackers to commandeer commercial aircraft in this widespread suicide mission. It was a terrorist attack that killed almost 3,000 people that day.
James Marcel Cartier. Sharon Ann Carver. Vivian Kasaldik. John Francis Kazaza. Paul Regan.
And every year, to remember this day, part of the Never Forget movement is to read the names of the people that died on that day. And we hear it every year, and it is sobering every time.
Let's reflect back now with the help of ABC's John Stoltness. He put together a 9/11 kind of timeline to take us back through what happened.
At 8:46 a.m. Eastern Time, American Airlines Flight 11 from Boston to Los Angeles crashes straight into the World Trade Center's North Tower, flown by hijackers. The leader, Mohammed Atta, thinking he's speaking to the passengers on board, inadvertently alerts air traffic controllers that the flight had been hijacked.
We have some planes. Stay quiet and we'll be okay. We're returning to the airport.
17 minutes later, a horrified nation watches as United Flight 175, also bound to L.A. from Boston, smashes into the South Tower.
Oh my goodness, there's another one.
This seems to be on purpose.
It becomes clear to everyone watching these were no accidents. America was under attack. President George W. Bush, visiting an elementary school in Florida, is notified by his chief of staff, Andy Card, of the attacks and makes a hurried announcement to the country.
Today, we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country.
It wasn't long before the nation found out these attacks were not relegated to New York alone, as reports emerged of another attack, this time on the Pentagon in the nation's capital.
Oh my goodness. We're looking at a live picture from Washington, and there is smoke pouring out of the Pentagon.
At 9:37, American Airlines Flight 77 from Dulles to L.A. crashes into the Pentagon. Minutes later, the Federal Aviation Administration, for the first time in U.S. history, shuts down all air traffic in United States airspace. Meanwhile, a 4th hijacked plane, United Flight 93, taking off from Newark to San Francisco, is also hijacked, the 4th plane that morning. Shortly before 10 a.m., passengers rush into the cockpit to try and regain control from the hijackers, but are unsuccessful, and the plane crashes in a remote field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, back in New York, terrified souls inside the World Trade Center are calling 911 for help. At 9:59 a.m., the second tower hit, the South Tower, comes crashing to the ground.
A huge explosion now, raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way.
half hour later, the North Tower also comes down. Later that night, back in the Oval Office, President Bush addresses a shell-shocked and devastated nation.
These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat, but they have failed. Our country is strong.
In all, 2,996 people died in the planes, in the towers, and at the Pentagon on September 11th, 2001.
4 planes, 4 crashes from Washington, where the Pentagon was attacked, to New York. That was 230 miles away. But it was this coordinated attack that left a mark on us that we will never forget.
By the time the passengers on that flight that ended up crashing in Pennsylvania, and there's been speculation on where the intended target was for that crew of hijackers. They tried unsuccessfully to get into the cockpit, but you could hear the hijackers, if you listen to the cockpit recording, trying to decide whether to crash the plane or allow those passengers to come through the door. Ultimately, they were unsuccessful, but you remember that famous phrase that came, "Let's roll, let's roll." And there was actually a book that was written about it by the wife whose husband coined that phrase, "Let's roll." Next, a Utah woman whose husband was killed fighting the longest war in American history, which was the war in Afghanistan. That's the one you referred to earlier, Dave, that was prompted because of 9/11. She's going to join us, Jenny Taylor, joining the show. I want to ask her about those conversations that led to him answering the call where it ultimately cost him his life.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Did you know Utah has just one all-news station in the morning?
It's this one. Weekday mornings between 5 and 9.
Start your days with us. We're Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Your morning companions for news.
It's about to get real for the BYU Cougars.
To the end zone, touchdown!
This Saturday, the Cougs take on Arkansas from the Powerhouse SEC Conference. Here's how to get ready. First, listen to Cougar Nation take your calls Monday at 6. Also, subscribe for BYU updates by texting the letters BYU to 57500. And then tune in for our special extended pregame coverage. Saturday starting at noon. We're Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio.
If you have a family member that is struggling with addiction or a loved one, whether they're currently in recovery or they need some help, Renaissance Ranch wants to help you out. They offer free family support services through weekly online classes. All you have to do is go to renaissanceranch.com and you can see where all of these classes are offered. They offer classes for spouses, parental support. They come from a personal perspective. They also offer a women's support group and a couples recovery group, and you can attend as many of these classes as you want. They are weekly, they are free, and they're open to the public. They do this because they know that when you get family members and loved ones involved, the research has shown that the higher the chances of a positive outcome for those addicted loved ones. Again, all you have to do is go to renaissanceranch.com to learn more for those free online classes open to the public. Find out more at renaissanceranch.com.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
September means it's time for Any Hour Services free furnace sale. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and as summer comes to a close and falls right around the corner, the weather gets, well, perfect. And when the weather's perfect, people need a little extra incentive to replace their heating and cooling system. That's where Any Hour Services free furnace sale comes in. For the month of September, when you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. And there's no catch. There's no raising the price on the air conditioner first. There's no making you buy the most expensive air conditioner to qualify. There's none of that. There's just a desire to keep our technicians working while the weather's mild and a genuine appreciation of you for helping us keep them busy. So if you've been thinking about replacing your old furnace and air conditioner and want to know exactly how much you can save during our free furnace sale, call Any Hour Services today and schedule a free estimate. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Hi friends, Dan the Laptop Man here from PC Laptops. I get a lot of emails with feedback from customers. Here's one. Dear Dan, I just had the best experience ever. I bought a computer from Shane at your State Street store. I asked several what I thought were really stupid questions. Shane was super courteous and made me feel comfortable through the whole process. People need to understand how important it is to support a local company, especially when your experience is so good. PC Laptops really does love me. Signed, Satisfied. I love hearing feedback like that. It really just gives me the chills. It's the whole reason why I got into the computer business in the first place. You can get a brand new PC Laptops desktop, and they start at only $29 a month. And it comes with a lifetime warranty. That means if anything goes wrong, we're going to take care of you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. That's PCLaptops.com. At PC Laptops, we really do love you.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Amanda Dixon. First, ceremonies are taking place around the state today to remember the lives lost 22 years ago in the 9/11 attacks. Second, a Lehigh family is asking all of us to please secure any loads we are carrying on I-15. This after part of an office chair smashed into their windshield. Third, Utah's law that blocks transgender girls from playing on school sports teams will be discussed in court this morning. Right now it's 68 degrees in Salt Lake City. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
W. David Bauer.
Mark Lawrence Bavis.
Marlon Capito Batista.
As we remember the lives that were lost 22 years ago, it is not just the lives lost on 9/11, but the thousands of lives, the people who've lost their lives since. We've got first responders who've died after breathing the toxic dust that came from Ground Zero, to the U.S. military members who lost their lives in Afghanistan. Some of them weren't even born when 9/11 happened.
That is such a sobering thought, to think that people kids that had signed up, that had served in Afghanistan, that had lost their lives, they weren't even alive when 9/11 happened. They were still fighting that war. I did see, Debbie, that 2 people were recently identified through DNA. Mm-hmm. Their remains had been identified at Ground Zero. I had no idea. I was completely shocked to find out that 40% of the bodies were still unidentified.
We want to invite Jenny Taylor to join the conversation right now. She is the wife of Major Brent Taylor, who was killed while serving in Afghanistan. Brent died in 2018. Good morning, Jenny. Hi, Jenny.
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you. I want to go because your husband, he lost his life in Afghanistan, and I want to go through the list that Dave is so marvelously compiled here for us, because I think it's important to remember the totality of 9/11. All of the lives lost. So American service members who were killed in Afghanistan just through April. Was this just before the withdrawal? Around the withdrawal. Yeah. Okay, so 2,448.
Military members. In a staggering number, that nearly as many servicemen and women lost as were lost in New York. Can you take us back a little bit, Jenny, and help us understand what was your husband's thinking? Why did he join the military, and did 9/11 play a role in it?
Well, such a great question, and I bet you could ask it of most military families about our age, and the answer would be absolutely. Brent grew up in a very patriotic family. He always wanted to join the military, but it was 9/11 that sealed the deal for him. Funny you should ask, because 1 week from today would be my 20th wedding anniversary with that man. Our entire time dating in the early 2000s, it was talking about what our lives might look like in the military. Neither one of us had parents or siblings in the military at the time. We didn't really know what we were getting into, but he just felt such a call, not just a call to put the uniform on, but a call to get over there. And he could not get there fast enough. And by there, of course, I mean Iraq and Afghanistan. I just spent this past weekend, I stepped away from the local project we have and went to Fort Benning down in Georgia, where they have a monument to those lost in the global war on terrorism. The 2,000 plus you mentioned from Afghanistan, plus another almost 5,000 from Iraq. And we took some of the surviving family members of those men and let them see their memorial where their son or their brother or their father has a name on that wall. And it's sobering. And I'll tell you, we say 22 years have passed. It is something you never grow out of.
Yeah, Jenny, so well said as always. Jenny Taylor, she's lives in Utah, and her husband, Major Brent Taylor, killed in Afghanistan in 2018. And as I look over the list, it's U.S. contractors. So often we forget that there were U.S. contractors involved in Afghanistan, 3,846 killed while serving there. Afghan National Military and Police, 66,000 lives lost.
What a staggering number. Wow.
So you look at what happened on 9/11, 2001, and so often, we can't help ourselves. I mean, that day was a horrific day, that just the memory of the planes going down and into the tower, and then all of the worries that happened after, that came for weeks after, like not knowing if something else was going to explode. But this really puts in perspective Osama bin Laden's reach, even 22 years later, with firefighters and police officers who were at ground zero for weeks, still dying of catastrophic diseases as a result, Jenny.
Right. Yeah, like you said, the number almost doubled. So you take the 343 firefighters that died that day in a horrible, awful day, and then the residual. We, in fact, at our 9/11 project today at the Weber County Fairgrounds, we have a retired officer from FDNY, the Fire Department of New York. We have a retired officer from NYPD, New York Police Department, and we have a retired transit authority worker from Manhattan Transit Authority working in the subways. Every one of these men either have battled those different lung diseases and cancers themselves or lost brothers, uncles, and coworkers. Like you said, for 22 years, they've been burying them, losing them, battling that. It wasn't just a horrible, awful terrorist attack that you closed the book on. We feel the effects of that every day, not only in the lives lost, but it changed the American way of life. And that's, this exhibit we've created. We walk you through the late 90s and kind of set the stage. And I think one of the more staggering effects we have as you walk through this immersive experience is you realize how much of today's America pivoted that day. We will never be the same as prior to, that Monday, September 10th to Wednesday, September 12th was just a huge leap.
I think about that a lot, Jenny. I think about that a lot. How long is your exhibit open there at the Weber County Fair?
We're open tonight till 9 p.m., so we hope you come at your lunch hour, come after school, come before dinner, bring the kids.
Jenny Taylor, thank you so much for joining us. An incredible family, a Gold Star family, as we remember the sacrifice that her husband, Major Brent Taylor, made while fighting the war in Afghanistan.
And I just got word that we will be talking live to that firefighter who is at the Weber County Fairgrounds. He's calling the show at 11:35. He was there at Ground Zero, and he will, give us some insight on what it's been like so many years later, and also like the lives that have been lost since. Think about the diseases. And in fact, I was reading today, Dave, that the rate of heart disease among firefighters who responded that day compared to firefighters who were at Ground Zero in the days that followed, those who responded that day are 44% more likely to have succumbed to heart disease in the years since.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, Utah Governor Spencer Cox issued an order for U.S. and state flags to be flown at half-staff at all state facilities today. The flag should remain lowered until sunset tonight in recognition of Patriot Day and the National Day of Service and Remembrance. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. New Mexico's governor said she expected to face legal challenges after she made an emergency order restricting gun rights in parts of the state, and now she's got them.
New Mexico gun owners up in arms over Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham's emergency orders, suspending the right to carry firearms in and around Albuquerque.
We all agree that the governor has overstepped her authority and is actually in violation of the law.
Protesters demonstrating Sunday in defiance of the order, which the governor said was in response to a spate of gun violence.
I don't know what her thought process was that she suddenly thought she could trample the Second Amendment.
Already, 2 gun rights organizations have sued to block her order. Mark Remillard, ABC News.
Lawyers will be in court this morning discussing Utah's law that blocks transgender girls from playing on school sports teams. The ACLU is representing 2 transgender athletes in the case. Today's hearing is expected to mostly discuss procedures and set dates for upcoming hearings. Your money at this moment. Right now, the Dow is up 37 points. That's 0.1%. We're at 34,614. Coming up, sunny with highs in the 80s again today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
What do you need to hear in the morning to feel ready for the day?
Important news that happened overnight. The traffic you'll hit on the roads.
You'll be ready for your day with us.
Join Utah's Morning News 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
If you own or operate a business, whether it's a local operation or a global corporation, partnering with Bank of America could be your smartest move. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll enjoy exclusive digital tools, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter. Position your business to capitalize on opportunity in a moment's notice. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, N.A. Copyright 2023.
With our roots in northern Utah, Holy Cross Hospital has a legacy of caring to help every person be whole and healthy. Find us at 5 Holy Cross Hospital locations and more than 45 clinics along the Wasatch Front. Learn more at holycrossutah.org.
At Holy Cross Hospital, we're honored to carry the legacy of our namesake and equally honored to care for northern Utah's vibrant communities. Find us at 5 Holy Cross Hospital locations and more than 45 clinics along the Wasatch Front. Learn more at holycrossutah.org.
Some things are better together, like burgers and fries, movies and popcorn, and auto and home insurance. At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we'll help you bundle your auto and home coverage in one policy, saving you money. And if a storm hits and both are damaged, you'll pay a single deductible. Find an agent at fbfs.com/protect. It's your future. Let's protect it. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
Made to Shine. Real stories from Shane Company customers.
I was 20 years old, stationed in Hawaii, and 2 weeks before I was deployed, I met the love of my life. The second I returned, I bought a cheap ring at the Base Exchange and proposed. 15 years later, I went to Shane Company and got her a one-of-a-kind ring with a pear-shaped diamond. It's the ring she deserves.
Shine forever with Shane Company's hand-selected diamonds, as unique as your love story. Shane Company, fine jewelry since 1929.
The best value in live TV and streaming is with Xfinity Internet and Now TV. It's the best network for watching all the entertainment you love without missing a beat, including live TV and sports. All your favorite shows and movies on a network made for streaming. Watch what you want, when you want. All you have to do is just sit back and enjoy. Get way more into what you're into. Stream on the next generation Xfinity 10G network. Switch today to get a great deal on a great deal of entertainment. And speaking of great deals, now through September 21st, get 1.2 gig internet on the 10G network for just $25 a month for 2 years when you add Xfinity Mobile with unlimited data. Plus, there's no annual contract and you get Wi-Fi equipment included. Plus, add Now TV with Peacock Premium, a $5.99 a month value included at no extra cost for just $20 a month. Switch today. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Now TV requires Xfinity Internet, taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet after promo. Regular rates apply to internet service and Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Heather?
We have emergency traffic. It starts off in Utah County. Northbound I-15 is at a crawl from University Parkway in Orem all the way into Linden. That's due to two separate crashes. The first one at Center Street, blocking the HOV lane and left shoulder. And then as you approach the Pleasant Grove exit, you're going to see a crash blocking 3 right lanes of traffic. That's keeping everything pretty much at a crawl. Southbound I-15 also has emergency traffic from 200 North in Kaysville, almost to the Glover Lane overpass in Farmington. That's due to a rollover crash blocking 2 right lanes and causing delays on Legacy Parkway, as well as people use that as their alternate. The Utah RV Super Show at Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy, September 14th through 17th. Get information and discount passes at utahrvsupershow.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather now. Look for a high of 87 degrees today, with things cooling off to the low 80s and upper 70s over the next few days. Pop-up thunder showers should be coming through midweek, and more sun comes out closer to the weekend. Right now it is sunny and 70 degrees at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic.
We want to talk about Morocco right now, where that powerful earthquake struck. It was a 6.8, and almost 2,500 people are dead. You brought this up earlier, Dave. This is rare for earthquakes to kill a whole bunch of people. Largely, I think it's because we have better like safety and when it comes to building. But Morocco it's in the tip of North Africa, and it overlooks the Mediterranean Sea. And it looks to me, when I look at the beautiful photos from Morocco, a lot of those buildings are very old.
Yeah, building standards have revolutionized safety. Unreinforced masonry, you may hear this term occasionally when we're talking about earthquakes, but essentially what it is, in a lot of buildings, older buildings, are basically just brick built on brick, built on brick. Well, today's standards, you have to reinforce that through steel. Well, during earthquakes, the unreinforced masonry can just crumble, and we saw that even in our earthquake here in Utah, which was much smaller. What was it, 5.7?
5.7. I don't really know if it was much smaller.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
5.7, 6.8. What's the difference?
I don't know. We've got to call into the experts here at the University of Utah at the Seismology Center to see if they can join us later in the show to kind of compare the two, the 6.8 to the 5.7.
But the damage to the unreinforced masonry, even in Utah, was tenfold what it was for everyone else that it was higher building standards.
I'm looking at photos, a slideshow right now out of Morocco, and it's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. But I can see what you're talking about, these older buildings here, and then there's this gorgeous picture of these buildings overlooking the Mediterranean Sea. And in an odd coincidence, I read this weekend that the Utah National Guard trains there. So they're over there now. Not sure if they are going to be helping with rescue efforts, but it just breaks your heart to watch as the people of Morocco are looking for the dead, those who have succumbed to the building collapses there. Which, I mean, I watched video of it this weekend, and it just broke my heart. People trying to run, you're just running every which way, and you don't know which way to run. It was just staggering when the death toll started to go up. At first it was a few hundred, it was 800, and then I saw 1,000, and then 2,000. Now we're almost at 2,500. Lieutenant Colonel Marie Roberts is the deputy commander for Utah's Region 8 Homeland Response Force with the Utah National Guard. Good morning, Lieutenant Colonel.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for joining us. Maybe we need to get to, I don't know let's start with where we're at right now. Is the Utah National Guard currently helping with rescue or recovery efforts in Morocco?
So actually, we are here participating in MorocNet-Let, which is an all-hazards training event. We've been planning this with our partners here in Morocco for a year, jointly planning and training. This happens to be the 20th anniversary of Utah State partnership with Morocco, and so this MorocNet-Let was the culmination of that celebration.
Why are you currently in Morocco right now?
We are. We actually had some of our elements already in country when the earthquake happened, just because we happened to be here preparing for our exercise.
Well, first of all, why the connection or why the relationship in Morocco or with Morocco?
So Morocco is Utah's state partner. There is a state partnership program where each of our states are connected with other countries, and Morocco happens to be ours.
Lieutenant Colonel Marie Roberts on the line with us live right now from Morocco. Is there anything going on where our troops are at from Utah, Lieutenant Colonel, in terms of the earthquake?
So we're actually 6 hours north of the epicenter of the earthquake, just a little bit north of the capital in Rabat. So we're all safe here, and just preparing for this exercise.
What do you understand to be the biggest problem? What caused or led to so many deaths?
I am not prepared to answer that. That's not my area of expertise. Our hearts go out to the families and victims of this tragic earthquake. We've worked with the Moroccans for a long time, for 20 years, and we've really grown to love them. So our thoughts and prayers are with them, but I'm not an expert as far as earthquakes go.
Do you feel, have you had any word at all that you may be called to help in some way there in Morocco while you're there, while our troops are there?
So, no, right now our focus is on this exercise.
Okay.
We have all of the confidence in our Moroccan partners in how they're handling this and their ability to respond to this tragic event. So, of course, we're willing to assist however we can, but right now this is our focus.
So for folks who might not understand, including myself, what this exercise entails, what do y'all do while you're there?
So this is an all hazards training event. We have certain modules in search and extraction, in swift water rescue, decontamination, basic and a very full medical contingent. But basically, it would be an all hazards training event.
Lieutenant Colonel Marie Roberts, thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much. Are you going to be there for a while? Or are you guys wrapping up soon, Lieutenant Colonel?
We'll be here for a little bit longer.
Okay. Well, stay safe. Thanks so much for the phone call live from Morocco. That was Lieutenant Colonel Marie Roberts, who's Deputy Commander of Homeland Response Force here in Utah for Utah's National Guard. We learned over the weekend that the National Guard already had people over there from Utah in Morocco when the earthquake hit, but it sounds like they're going to stick with the training regimen, and they're not. Maybe their services aren't needed right now in this search and recovery and rescue efforts.
And for those folks that don't know where Morocco is, it's just south of Spain in the northwestern corner of Africa. And, Debbie, you look at the devastation, the 2,500 lives lost so far. It's a staggering number. But I didn't know that Utah already had a relationship that apparently every state is assigned a partner country, and our partner country is Morocco.
Dave and Dujanovic. Hey, stay right here for more of Dave and Dujanovic.
And tomorrow morning, come back here for news, traffic updates, and reliable weather.
Join us to have a listen. Tim and Amanda.
Your morning companions for news.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at ooma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
Innovation Refunds does not provide tax or legal advice. We work with an independent network of tax professionals and will share information with them to evaluate and process your claims. Terms and conditions apply. Ty is a paid spokesman.
I'm Ty Burrell, actor and small business owner. You can trust Innovation Refunds with your small business's ERC claim because of their SOC 2 Type 1 security compliance. Without this, how can you be sure a company can can protect your information. It's not like here on the radio, where all you need to be secure is a sensor button. My password to my bank account is Ty's Cool Password 1. Uh-oh. Luckily, Innovation Refunds is more reliable. Go to innovationrefunds.com or call 1-843-REFUNDS to get started.
Imagine how inconvenient your life would be without power. No lights, no refrigeration, no heating or cooling, and no electronics. But with a Generac home standby generator, you'll have the power when you need it most. Generac generators automatically provide backup after sensing a power outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Schedule a free quote today with Genco Generators, your premier Generac service dealer in Utah. Call 801-295-0872 or online at gencogenerators.net.
Hey guys, are you over 30? Let's talk about testosterone and performance. Your testosterone can decline at an average of 1 to 2% a year after you turn 30. And Revive Men's Health have been experts at treating men with low testosterone and ED since 2011. We're the clinic guys come to when their current treatment isn't working. They have a complicated medical condition, or they're just not happy with their performance. We love what we do and the patients we care for. You can ask our patients. We did, and we have a 99% patient satisfaction rate this year. Our patients even tell us we're more affordable than their insurance deductibles and copays. Let's get to the bottom of your issues and fix them. That's what we do, and we do it really well. Book your T-check and exam today. Call 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or send us a private message at revivemenshealth.com.
Troy, I'm depressed. Bitches RV and American Fork is killing it.
What's depressing about that?
Stewart's RV managers and staff are still here, so we've got the same incredible customer service.
That's good.
And we brought in new RV brands like Ember RV and Go Play Travel Trailers.
Also good.
And now you can shop hundreds more RVs at bitches.com.
Still waiting for the sad part.
I'm used to being a mentor, but I'm turning into a manatee.
You do have the same shape. Bish's RV is now open in American Fork. Come see us at the previous Stewart's RV or at our North Salt Lake location. Bish's RV, where memories begin.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, and we have 5 miles of stop-and-go traffic southbound I-15 from Kaysville into Farmington. It's due to a rollover crash just before Glover Lane, blocking 2 right lanes of travel. Then in Utah County, northbound I-15 is at a crawl for 4 miles between University Parkway and Orem and the Pleasant Grove exit. That is due to a crash blocking 3 right lanes. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Amanda Dixon. First, Utah Governor Spencer Cox issued an order for U.S. and state flags to be flown at half staff on all state facilities today in honor of Patriot Day and the National Day of Service and Remembrance. Second, New Mexico's governor is facing legal challenges after making an emergency order restricting gun rights in parts of the state. And third, this morning, lawyers in court will be discussing Utah's law that blocks transgender girls from playing on school sports teams. Right now, it's 70 degrees in Salt Lake City. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
David Dujanovic.
What's happening with a couple of actors from the show, That 70s Show? It was a huge hit from like 98 to 2006. I think begs the question, like, should you do favors for friends? Like, ever? So right now, there's this big tangle that's been going on over the weekend. I had to bring Dave up to speed because what did you say? You're like, you haven't been paying attention to Hollywood this weekend.
Yeah, no pop culture this weekend for me, I guess.
You did watch a lot of football, though.
Yes.
But let's get into this right now because I want to ask you, would you have done this? Like, would you have helped a friend in this situation? So at the heart of all of this, in the middle of this whole controversy involving Ashton Kutcher and Mia Kunis, both who were starring on That 70s Show. Coming in hot. I never even watched this show, but I know it was pretty wildly popular. And Ashton really, that's where he met Mia, and they ended up getting married. Anyway, that's a whole nother issue. Well, sort of. But at the heart of this is the 2 rape convictions of one of their former co-hosts, Danny Masterson. And he was sentenced last week. Now, you were familiar with that, right?
Yeah. I was aware he had been convicted, again, of raping 2 women. And this was many years ago.
Right.
This, I think, was
early
even
2000s.
during their filming or
right.
back when they were starring in these shows together.
Right. So he was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison, and that happened last week. And then what came after that involved Ashton and Mia Kunis. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, who are married. So let me tell you first about what the victims said, and then I'm going to, in court, about the rape conviction and the sentence, and then I'm going to tell you what the two, Ashton and Mila, why they've been involved in this, or why they got kind of roped and tangled into this. One of the victims said, when you raped me, this is to Masterson, you stole from me. That's what rape is, a theft of the spirit. You are pathetic, disturbed, and completely violent. The world is better off with you in prison. So that's what one of the victims said, and he was sentenced to 30 years to life, and he's gonna be gone put away for a really long time. And so she says, you are pathetic, disturbed, and completely violent. The world is better off with you in prison.
And this is maybe some behind the scenes function of the way the courts work, but after you've been convicted, before you are sentenced, there are opportunities for a victim's impact statement where the victim can talk to the judge, who's typically handing out the sentence, and they tell the judge their story, their experience, how it affected them. It's very powerful. I've been there. I've been a part of the victim's impact statements. I can see how effective they are. But on the flip side, the judge will also read character statements or thoughts from the person that has been convicted, the person that is found guilty. They will give the judge letters from family members or friends to try to humanize the person, to let the judge know that there are some redeeming qualities, perhaps, and that's what the convicted will try to do, is tell their side of the story to try to get a softer sentence,
a more lenient sentence, and that's where Ashton and Mila come in. Masterson's attorney had asked them to write glowing reviews of Masterson, okay, and their glowing review is far from what the victims had said. Remember, the victim says, you're pathetic, disturbed, completely violent. The world is better off with you in prison. When you raped me, you stole from me. That's what rape is, a theft of the spirit. Well, then there was glowing reviews in those letters that came to the judge. Kutcher says, I do not believe he is an ongoing harm to society. Having his daughter raised without a father present would be, what's that word? Tertiary injustice in and of itself. So Kutcher goes to bat for Masterson, the rapist. Then Kunis, Kutcher's wife, I know this is hard to follow, but they're married, says he's an exceptional character. And he's been a tremendously positive influence that he's had on her and the people around him. So these are the two letters that end up before the judge, and then the couple ends up issuing an apology.
Yeah, so they wrote these letters with the expectation or the assumption that only the judge would read these, that this would not be something that got out, that it would be sealed.
Yeah.
So they wanted to share their experience with him and what they know of their friend, and they wrote positive, glowing things because that was their experience.
Because they didn't think it was going to get out. They didn't think it was going to get out, and then it gets out. The judge looks at him, and she's like, I think it was a female judge, I'm not going to keep these under seal. And so the letters get released practically immediately, and then fast forward to this weekend. The two of them sit before a camera and kind of give this sort of, I felt like it was this half-baked apology.
Aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years. so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read, and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that.
Okay, so that was posted on social media, on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm a little torn on this,
Really?
Deb. Yeah.
So is this a moment where you sit back and say, this is what came to my mind. Watch what favors you do for a friend. Watch what favors you do for a friend. Friends come, I mean, this guy is convicted of rape.
Yes.
You know, it's not like he got convicted of speeding, of going 35 in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. I mean, the guy is convicted of 2 rapes that he got away with for 20 years. So somebody comes to you, an attorney, and says, can you write a letter, a glowing review of him so he gets a more lenient? That's what these letters are. They're meant to get the perpetrator, the defendant, a more lenient sentence. That's what ultimately it is. And Kuchar says that so much. It would be like throwing away the key on this guy would be an injustice in and of itself because his daughter would be without a father. Well, his victims have been living with this tragedy and pain for 20 years.
And injustice for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess, well, let me take a breath. Let me calm down. Is this a case of watch what favors you do for a friend? Or is that too simple?
Maybe it's a little too simple just because there are so many ways you should and we should encourage support of each other. What makes this difficult is they don't know him as Danny Masterson, the rapist. He obviously hid that away from his friends. We don't know what's going on in the lives of everyone. There's probably some really dark stuff happening that we have no idea about. People in our lives, friends, family members, whatever. What you're asking, and I look at this and I say, you can do a horrible thing and still have some redeeming value as a human. And I don't think it's inappropriate for somebody to shed light on their experience. So these are 2 friends, 2 very close friends that have had 25 years of great experiences with that person. If I'm a judge, that doesn't discount the act and the crime that was committed against these individuals. But I think it's fine to look at, say, you know what, this person made a mistake. They have some good qualities. That does not take away the awful, horrible thing that he did. Mm-hmm. And the punishment should be every bit as awful and terrible as the justice system deems necessary. And that's exactly what happened. I don't think that Mila and Ashton Kutcher should be, vilified for speaking up for a friend. I can see why, because that's their experience. If someone does something wrong, do you just wash your hands and you're done with that person forever? I
also think I also want to give them a little something back and say, what kind of pressure would that be if somebody called you up, an attorney, and said, would you please, would you mind, please write a letter, like glowing reviews of, it's hard to say no. But in this case, it's a absolute no for me.
Yeah,
I'm
with you. I don't write it either.
Think...
I don't. All that being said, there's no way I write that letter.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour, 9/11 tributes taking place around Utah today. KSL News Radio's Mark Jackson. looks at some of them around the state.
Students, faculty, staff, and first responders will pay tribute outside Hidden Valley Middle School, celebrating the military and first responders at a sunrise salute to Patriot Day. It includes patriotic musical performances, and later, history teachers will educate students on the events of 9/11/01. At 2:30, senior residents of Copper Creek Assisted Living will showcase flags put up in honor of 9/11 and will share memories of where they were that fateful day. Mark Jackson, KSL News Radio.
And Utah's governors ordered flags at 2 half-staff today in memory of the victims of the 9/11 attacks. A Lehigh family is safe but shocked after a chair flew into their windshield on I-15. Dashcam footage from the Eden family car shows the bottom half of the office chair getting kicked up from 2 lanes away and smashing the front of their vehicle. Lily Eden was in the car. She says it could have been a lot worse. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. With tonight's return to Monday Night Football, the Buffalo Bills will welcome a familiar face back to their lineup. ABC's DeMarco Morgan has more.
It will be DeMar Hamlin's first regular season game since that frightening on-field cardiac arrest back in January. Ironically, that was also a Monday Night Football game.
And your money at this moment. The Dow Jones average up 24 points on the day right now. The NASDAQ having a little stronger up day, up 80 points right now. And our KSL weather looks like the chance of a thunderstorm is building up. We'll have that next. KSL News Time, 10:02.
We have enough people running around Broadcast House at 4 in the morning to field a football team.
Producers, reporters, the traffic team, and us.
This is Tim and Amanda.
Join us each morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hi, folks. It's Doug and Kathy with Window World.
I've been thinking our window features are awesome, but professional installation really makes our windows far superior.
That's for sure. Our installers are trained and experienced to do the job right.
They're employees and a valuable asset for our team.
We trust them, and so can you.
Let's get you on our schedule. Call 801-281-8111 and our team will take care of you.
Or visit windowworldutah.com. And we promise no baloney.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. In October of 1985, a woman named Cherie Warren left work at a busy Salt Lake City office
to meet her estranged husband at a downtown auto dealership.
She never made it home. Cherie's car surfaced weeks later in Las Vegas.
In the parking lot of a hotel casino.
No one knows how it got there.
Strange. It was strange.
Both Cherie's estranged husband and her boyfriend raised suspicion for investigators.
I kind of thought that he might have done something.
But no arrests were ever made. In Cold Season 3, we dig into double lives, make new connections in the case, and examine the difficulty raised by reasonable doubt.
We want answers just as much as anyone else.
They have creeps like that now too, so nothing's changed.
That's the new Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, now available anywhere you get your podcasts.
Emergency traffic brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, the delays just keep increasing northbound I-15 in Utah County. We are more than 4 miles of pretty much at a crawl from Center Street in Orem all the way into Linden, almost to the Pleasant Grove exit. It's due to a crash, still blocking 3 right lanes and the right shoulder, but there's a crash in that backup that's also blocking the left lane and shoulder, so that's just causing those issues. Southbound I-15, an earlier crash in Farmington has cleared. All the lanes are now open. It's just going to take some time for those delays to clear out that back up into Kaysville. Is your car due for some extra love? Burt Brothers is here for your vehicle's routine maintenance, all done by our ASE certified technicians. Burt Brothers, affordable, complete auto care done better. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, sunny today, some clouds moving in tomorrow, and there's a chance of thunder showers by Wednesday. Right now, 72 degrees and sunny at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic.
So I don't know if the Second Amendment applies in New Mexico, but New Mexico governor suspended gun rights in Albuquerque. Several lawmakers shouting out that the move is unconstitutional. So she issued the order on Friday, suspending the right to carry a gun in public for 30 days. And that's in Albuquerque. So if you're pro-Second Amendment and you go to Albuquerque, don't pack. Look, I mean, I know there's been horrible incidents that have led up to this public health order that she's issued, but I think it just walks all over court precedent and the Second Amendment.
Yeah, in fact, I saw Democratic Senator Ted Lieu make a comment and tweeted out this. It said, I'm all for reasonable gun control, but this is not it. This is illegal. And the idea that this governor thinks that she has the ability to thwart the U.S. Constitution is unequivocally wrong.
Well, I just wondered if she felt like it had to do with if it changes the game, because it's literally, she calls this a public health order, a public health emergency order. And this is issued. I have it. I'm holding it in my left hand. How many pages is this thing? It's a lot of whereases and now therefores. But it's from the New Mexico Department of Health, and it says public health emergency order imposing temporary firearm restrictions, drug monitoring, and other public safety measures. I know that there has been. Do we have the statistics somewhere regarding the number of crimes in New Mexico? I know there's been a lot of crime dealing with guns. It has to do with guns there. She says she needed to act after an 11-year-old boy was killed outside a minor league baseball stadium in Albuquerque. That was according to the New York Times. So she says, let's see, I don't know. The Times quoted a spokesperson for the New Mexico Shooting Sports Association saying that she does not have the right to override the Constitution.
KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas joins us right now. And Greg, can you help us walk us through, like, what's the reason and the justification? It seems so clear cut that this would not be allowed to me, but can you explain to us the legal understanding or thinking behind this?
Yeah, Dave, if you recall, during the pandemic, there were a lot of executive orders. Our own governor issued one that got somewhat controversial, but sometimes the times or the events that are happening in a community or problems that are occurring may justify an executive to issue an order. It's almost like martial law. You know, you'll call in the National Guard, or you'll close down the streets, or you'll shut down the schools, or something like that. This one seems a little bit over the top legally for the reasons that you and Debbie have been talking about. I mean, it is an affront on the Second Amendment. It does seem to be something that probably should be done by something other than an executive order. In other words, maybe the legislature needs to weigh in. And in fact, just in terms of its own enforceability, I think her own sheriff, or the sheriff of that particular county, has said he's not going to enforce it. So it may be a toothless law. Nonetheless, it certainly seems to, on its face, fly in the face of the Second Amendment, and probably isn't going to hold up.
So, Greg, I want to go back to, I'm just trying to piece this together live on the air here, so bear with me. I want to go back to June of last year, June of 2022. NBC News reports the Supreme Court allows the carry of firearms in public, and major victory for gun rights groups. So not only do we have the Second Amendment, which allows, obviously, for people to own guns in this country. Then you have this ruling, the 6-3 ruling from last summer, that allows people to possess firearms beyond, for example, their homes. The Supreme Court sides with gun rights advocates and says you can walk around the streets with guns. So how, nobody, I don't know of anybody who wants anybody killed by a gun. Especially not an 11-year-old little boy. I understand that, and my heart aches for what happened there. And the other crimes where innocent people are killed. I see the flip side of this as well, that I don't see how she can justify it with not only the Constitution, with gun rights advocates waiving the Constitution, but also this ruling from last summer.
No, you're exactly right. And as I recall that one, Debbie, it was the state of New York or maybe the city of New York that had tried to restrict the ownership and possession of firearms in that particular municipality. And the Supreme Court said, you know what, you can't do that. And your legal analysis is spot on. That is a perfect example of the court, the highest court in the land, coming down on local authorities saying, wait a minute, you may have cause, you may have some issues going on in your city or in the city of Albuquerque, city of New York, whatever, that may justify some things, but you can't just sign a document that overrides the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. And I think she's going to have a huge problem with that. And maybe it's symbolic what's happening in New Mexico. Maybe this governor is just saying, hey, somebody needs to do something, even if it's unenforceable. But you would expect that she would propose legislation, talk to her legislators, talk to some groups, do what they can to maybe issue or put in place some restrictions that would pass constitutional inspection. This one probably doesn't.
How would you describe this? Unenforceable is one word. Could it be considered illegal?
Yeah, and maybe that's the same word, Dave, because it's unenforceable, because it's illegal, because it doesn't fit within the parameters of the Second Amendment. I'd hate to call an act by a governor illegal, but it certainly doesn't follow the Constitution, doesn't follow the law, and it is almost certainly not going to withstand, like I said, even our own law enforcement's not going to enforce it, because they can see, as you guys can clearly on its face, that it's probably, whatever word you want to use, unenforceable, illegal, inappropriate. It just shouldn't have. Probably should not have occurred for any reason.
So what's the next step? Could this governor be punished in any way for trying to, pass a law that's illegal or an executive order, whatever it might be? What's the next step? Does a federal judge step in, or how quickly does it make it to the Supreme Court?
Well, there are a couple of things happening. One, I think her executive order was only to last 30 days, so it's probably going to expire before anybody does anything. But her own legislature has already talked about impeachment. Certainly the voters are going to be very upset. I mean, there may be some ramifications for that, for what happened here. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, it's probably a toothless executive order that's not going to be enforced, that's not going to be constitutional, that's not going to be supported. And maybe it was just something that she felt was appropriate at the time and felt like she really had no choice but to do it. And it's unfortunately garnered a lot of attention, too, that I'm sure she didn't want.
We've talked so much about standing in other cases, and many cases have been dismissed in the political realm because candidates didn't have what's called standing. Like, they didn't have a dog in the fight, but they brought the lawsuit anyways, and the courts have ruled, you don't have standing, so get on out of our court. But in this case, Greg, and we got to run because we're out of time, but this is just such a fascinating discussion. I wanted to bring this up. In this case, if a gun owner carries a concealed weapon or carries openly in Albuquerque, they could face a $5,000 fine for violating the governor's order. Well, if you get one person who openly carries and you get the sheriff who issues the fine or a citation, then you have somebody who is standing, and then you can get this into court.
That's exactly right, and that's exactly what's going to happen. There are probably a bunch of people that are openly carrying
Albuquerque right now. Right.
just to invite what you've said, Debbie. You're spot on. I mean, I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
Greg Skordas, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, we'll continue to follow this. This is, like I said, it is fascinating and on many levels. And again, rights advocates saying this totally violates the Constitution. And the governor saying, I got to do something about all the crime in Albuquerque and the gun violence specifically.
It will be very, very interesting to me to see how, if there's any ramifications. What I don't want is a bunch of governors just signing executive orders that are clearly illegal just to push some sort of political agenda, and then they have no ramifications, no repercussions for doing so. When they clearly know, she's got to clearly know that this is unconstitutional.
Straight ahead, Dave and I taking a look at a phenomenon of people building bigger and bigger and bigger homes. Square footage of homes has gone from 1,000 square feet to 2,500 square feet in 70 years. We're going to analyze why it is that we feel we need to have bigger homes when families are shrinking.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hi, it's Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Why should you start your day with us?
We have decades of news experience between us.
And we take your trust seriously.
Come here for news tomorrow, 5 to 9.
On KSL.
This autumn, fall for the KSL hosts who share this community with you and report on Utah's most important stories. Depend on Tim and Amanda. Mornings from 5 to 9. Listen to Dave and Dujanovic at 9, Boyd Matheson at 1, and Jeff Kaplan on the ride home from 3 to 7. We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
Debbie, it seems like every week, every couple of weeks, we're talking about electric vehicles, and you and I kind of joke, like, when are you going to get it? When are you going to get one? One of the things that I think about, I'm like, well, I'd love to have one, but then I've got to get the EV charging station, and do I really want to mess with that? And how much is that going to cost? I'm certainly not going to do it myself.
You got to call Master Electrical. Yeah. Master Electrical is your phone call, Dave. They're your people for all things electrical. You need can lights in your ceiling. You need those outdated ceiling fans replaced. You need an EV charger because you are going to be the first one through the wall between the two of us to get that electric vehicle. Master Electrical has what's called upfront pricing, and that means it's guaranteed. The price they give you up front before they start the job is going to be the price you pay at the end of the job.
And I love that idea. So I can have them come out, look at my garage, and say, okay, we're going to do this, 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 and this. This is your bid. And to know that it's not going to go over that is so relieving.
And you live right in the zone where Master Electrical covers Logan to Santaquin. They proudly serve Logan to Santaquin. Dave, you live in Kaysville, so Master Electrical is your next phone call.
Yeah, they're always open. Emergency services, 801-543-2222, 801-543-2222.
Or as Dave says, what he likes to do is check them out online at masterelectrical.com.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
With our roots in northern Utah, Holy Cross Hospital has a legacy of caring to help every person be whole and healthy. Find us at 5 Holy Cross Hospital locations and more than 45 clinics along the Wasatch Front. Learn more at holycrossutah.org.
At Holy Cross Hospital, we're honored to carry the legacy of our namesake and equally honored to care for northern Utah's vibrant communities. Find us at 5 Holy Cross Hospital locations and more than 45 clinics along the Wasatch Front. Learn more at holycrossutah.org.
Everybody knows that exterior remodeling salespeople are all about the high-pressure sell. Am I right? Windows, siding, gutters, those suckers are going to twist your arm and get you to buy, or they won't leave your house at night. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and I want you to know we don't have high-pressure cells. In fact, we don't even have salespeople. Nope, we have estimators. That's a huge difference. Estimators are trained to look at the entire scope of the project, to see and know if there are any problems, like rotten wood, wood-borne insects, or construction issues specific to your house or your neighbors. Salespeople are more concerned about playing those silly price games. Buy one, get one free, sign today and get 40% off, as if they didn't just jack the price up to give you a fake discount. RGS Exteriors estimators are going to give you a great quote. No games, no tricks, no nonsense. Call RGS Exteriors to quote your exterior project. Our number is 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com.
The Utah RV Super Show, the premier RV event of the year, is back at Mountain America Expo, Thursday, September 14th through Sunday, September 17th. Come see the new 2024 models and special closeout pricing on all 2023 models. Bring a can of food for the Utah Food Bank and get $1 off per can, up to half off adult admission. Unplug from distractions and plug into your family at the Utah RV Super Show. Discount passes at utahRVSupershow.com.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio. We still have traffic at a standstill northbound I-15 between Center Street and Orem, almost to the Pleasant Grove exit. This is due to a crash which is still blocking 3 right lanes of traffic. So you only have a couple of right lanes available plus the HOV lane, and that will keep you barely crawling right now as you go through Utah County. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, there are tributes to those lost in the 9/11 attacks in Utah today, as well as across the country. Second, a family from Lehigh managed to avoid injuries when the base of an office chair crashed through their windshield on I-15. And third, the Buffalo Bills player we were all worried about last year, back in the lineup for tonight's Monday night football game. Right now, 72 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
I think it's ego, but Dave will have his own opinion of this. For the last 70 years, builders have been building bigger and bigger homes because we're buying bigger homes. The average square foot has gone from 1,000 square feet to 2,500 square feet. So this is from...
Whoa. Say that number again.
Sorry, 1,000 square feet to 2,500 square feet. That's the average square footage of a home.
That's a staggering amount. Can you imagine living in 1,000 square foot home? Like right now, because neither you or I have ever lived in 1,000 square foot home with a family. I mean, maybe an apartment, when I was in college.
I didn't tell you I lived in a hotel with my family?
No. Well, it was probably 1,000 square feet.
We lived. Oh yeah, we had a little hiccup between moves, and so we stayed. I think it was a month. We stayed in a hotel room with the kids.
What did you think?
So fewer and fewer people living in houses, and also the reason for that is because families are getting smaller. I want to give credit first here. Nicholas Gurley, he's a realtor and founder of Reventure Consulting. He posted this on Twitter.
Yeah, and I guess what surprises me, Deb, as we look through this, is how do you live in 1950? They said that 983 square feet, and then in 2015 it peaked out at 2,600 square feet. That it is such a change.
You could do it.
I could live in 900 square feet.
You could do it
with a family of 5.
Yes, you could do it.
Okay, let's hear the pitch.
Yeah, right. We downsized. That was the move that had the hiccup. We were downsizing. I'm embarrassed to tell you how big the house was we sold. It was too big to keep track of the kids. And I met a
how
woman.
Big was it?
It was like 4,500 square feet. It was too big. It was crazy.
It's a good size.
Well, so I met a friend. I made friends with a woman who they had lived in the same home forever, and I think it was like under 2,000 square, 1,500 square feet. And they raised their family in that home. And she said something to me I've never forgotten. She said, less stuff, more time. Less space, more time. And I took that and I ran with it, and we downsized. And I downsized again. I got into a townhome last summer because my kids are grown and gone. But the median home value in 1950 here in Utah was $7,400. That's what homes were selling for back in 1950-ish. And you fast forward to today.
Can I do the inflation calculator?
Oh,
Because
my goodness.
no one knows what $7,500 is, right? Back then.
Okay.
It's about $85,000 in today's.
Which is a little more than what I paid for my first condo in Holiday.
Yeah,
I think I was paid low 80s for that place in 1992 or something like that. So that's incredible, Dave.
Well, it's about $85 a square foot
Today?
No,
Back then.
it's the equivalent is about $85 a square foot. So today you're looking at about $200 a square foot when you're buying a home.
So our producers compiled kind of what you get today. So they found a listing in West Jordan. The median home price is $533,800 in Utah. The median home price, so there's a listing for about that in West Jordan right now. 5 bedrooms, 4 bath, 2,500 square feet. 530, let's just say $535K. West Jordan, 5 beds, 4 baths, 2,500 square feet. Okay, let's talk this out. Let's chat about this. I think it's ego, Dave. I think ego is driving families to buy bigger and bigger homes because they want to look good to the in-laws and the outlaws and all their friends.
There's definitely a keeping
and they get
up
on
with
over
the
their
Joneses.
heads. You can't $533,000. Come on.
There's a lot of pressure, I think, from our family members or our children too, because we think every child's got to have their own room. Like, how many of us grew up and we shared a room with a sibling? I think our generation, many of us probably did at some point. Maybe not for our entire childhood, but that used to be standard. Like, kids would all be in the same room. You'd have 2 or 3 kids all sharing a room, and that was just how we lived.
We're just lucky to have a roof over your head and food on the table.
Yeah, and because a lot of times the only time you spent in your room was when you were sleeping. That's not where the fun was. What has changed so much over the last several years is our kids' rooms, they're mini Disneylands. They are so much fun. They have big screen televisions on the wall. They have their computers. They have their iPads. A child doesn't need to leave his room because that is the sanctuary. It is a fun place to be. That was not the case.
Do you think we feel as parents that we have to do that for our kids?
No question.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much pressure.
We don't want our children to go without, not realizing that we're doing plenty for them just by, putting meals on the table, packing their lunches every day, and, making sure they're having fun in the backyard with their friends.
Here's a little test. Go into your kid's room and look at their closet. Look at their closet, how many pieces of clothing they have, how many pairs of shoes they have, and then look and say, okay, when was the last time they wore this? I can tell you right now, I could go into my kid's closet right now and say, I've never seen you wear this or this or this or this or this. They have so much. It's opulence. What's
the least amount of square footage you could realistically move into today? Sell your place and move into today with your 2 kids still at home.
Oh yeah, we could do 1,200 square feet.
You could do that.
Yeah,
and still love each other.
Yeah, I mean, we have 3 rooms upstairs that we have a split entry, so it's about 1,200, 1,300 square feet.
I know that home.
And you had almost the identical floor plan.
I looked in my house one day. He was helping. I don't know. You were helping somebody move in or out. We were borrowing the truck. I don't know. He comes in. He's like, "Oh,
this is the Noriega household.
This is just...
It was in reverse. It's like the mirror version. Your kitchen goes left, mine goes right.
And
But we could. We have 4 of us living in the house right now. We have three bedrooms. We could totally live upstairs. We would be in each other's business, though.
Maybe
there
that's
would
a good
be
thing.
a lot of fighting.
That's a good thing, Dave. Being in each other's business as a family is a good thing. It's a good thing. Next, we're going to actually continue the conversation about homes and buying homes. More unmarried couples are buying homes together. We're going to explain why you should not do that.
Unmarried couples buying a home together?
Not married. Don't buy a home together. Find out why in 3 minutes.
It's 10:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top local story this hour. More students with disabilities are getting their math credits than ever before in Utah schools. Secondary math specialist for the Utah Board of Education, Lindsay Henderson, says a new well-rounded math system has helped kids who've struggled in the past.
Particularly for students with disabilities, because they tend to be a group of students that sometimes don't have the same opportunities mathematically as traditional students.
And 85% of students with disabilities are earning their on-grade level math credits. That's double what it was 10 years ago. Big opening weekend for NFL players with local ties, to name just a few. Former Utah State quarterback Jordan Love had a great first game as the starter for Green Bay. Love threw 3 touchdown passes in that game. Former BYU receiver Puka Nacua made his NFL debut, catching 10 passes for more than 100 yards for the LA Rams and set a rookie record for the franchise. Former BYU running back Tyler Algier had 2 touchdowns for the Atlanta Falcons in their win over the Carolina Panthers. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Bells were sounding as the names of those who died on September 11, 2001 were read at the World Trade Center Memorial in New York City. Observances being held all over the country. Here in Utah, Governor Cox has ordered flags flown to half-staff to remember the day. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average was up 70 points this morning. The S&P 500 up 20, and the NASDAQ up about 93 points right now. And our KSL weather looks like sunny skies today, but by Wednesday we could see a thunderstorm. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
Start your days with knowledgeable, friendly voices telling you about the latest news and weather out there.
Hi, this is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
In the business of waking you up each morning from 5 to 9.
On KSL News Radio.
If you own or operate a business, whether it's a local operation or a global corporation, partnering with Bank of America could be your smartest move. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll enjoy exclusive digital tools, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter. Position your business to capitalize on opportunity in a moment's notice. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, N.A. Copyright 2023.
Watch parties aren't what they used to be.
Welcome to today's matinee.
Ever since we got Xfinity, my little sister and her friends can easily stream all their favorite stuff.
We'll start with 2 episodes of Top Chef, then Chopped.
When I was a kid, we'd worry about buffering. Now they just worry about what's on the charcuterie board.
Enjoy these fine meats and cheeses.
These are just cut up hot dogs and spray cheese.
Indeed.
The best way to stream your favorites is on the Xfinity 10G network. Now through September 21st, get gig internet on the Xfinity 10G network made for streaming for $25 a month for 2 years when you add Xfinity Mobile. There's no annual contract and get Wi-Fi equipment included. Plus, add Now TV with Peacock Premium, a $5.99 a month value included at no extra cost for just $20 a month. Switch today. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile and Now TV require Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary. Stream Top Chef on Peacock.
Tim and Amanda, Utah's Morning News.
Trust is more important in our business, Tim, than it's ever been in my lifetime, in all of my many years of being here at KSL, because there's so much misinformation out there. And there's so much information that is heavy laden with opinion. When you come to us in the morning, what you get is the news. You get what's happening without a lot of spin or opinion and without any misdirection. That's just the pure, simple thing that you get.
When you talk about the misinformation that's out there, which there is, sometimes those stories just change from one morning to the next. And so hopefully you feel like each day as new information becomes available or we learn new things, this was certainly true during the pandemic, this is the place where we're going to share that information with you and talk about the things that are going to most affect your life.
Wake up with Utah's Morning News with Tim and Amanda between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Emergency traffic brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, this is due to a crash in Utah County. Northbound I-15, 3 right lanes of travel are blocked just before you get to the Pleasant Grove exit. It's due to a crash with critical injuries, and traffic is backed up all the way to Center Street and Orem. It's going to take you a good 25 minutes or so just to get from Orem up into Pleasant Grove. You may want to consider using alternate routes, which some people are. So State Street is overly congested now between American Fork and between Linden and Pleasant Grove. Other than that, you've got a pretty good drive across the Wasatch Front. Join the Utah Symphony for the greatest classical hits from the 1700s to today. Tickets start at $21. Get yours today at utahsymphony.org. I'm Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, mostly sunny today with clouds moving in tomorrow and a chance of thunderstorms on Wednesday. Today's high 87, tomorrow 82. Right now, 74 degrees and sunny at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Steve and I talking about home purchases. We just wrapped up talking about how homes have gotten bigger. Like 2.5 times bigger in the last 70 years. We're now at like 2,500 square feet on average. Well, now we're going to shift over the conversation to talk about how more unmarried couples are buying homes together. They actually make up about 18% of all first-time home buyers, according to the National Association of Realtors.
That was incredible to me, Debbie, to find that 1 in 5 people that are buying a home for the first time are doing so when they're not married. They're not officially a couple. Maybe they're living together, but they don't have the documents.
I would never.
Why not?
I would never. Because it is when you're married, it's just like there's like you both have like, I'm trying to paraphrase this, and I'm not doing a good job. When you aren't married, you aren't legally connected. And so if you go through a separation and somebody has to leave the home or decides to leave the home, you're out of luck. You don't get, so if you've paid like half of the mortgage for, let's say, 15 years, and that mortgage, you haven't refinanced, it's halfway to being paid off, and you decide, look, this relationship is not working for me anymore, I'm going to move out. I think you're on shaky ground in terms of getting any equity out of that home. So you're starting over. That's why I would never do it with somebody, buy a home with somebody I wasn't married to.
If you're both on the mortgage agreement, I would assume that you're
maybe
50-50.
Then you're going to court. I would just not do that. Now, here's the flip side of that. If you move in together and somebody else owns the home and then they're forcing you to pay $500 or $1,000 or $1,500 a month toward their mortgage, you're out of luck. Basically, you're just renting from them, and so your money isn't going toward your own equity. So I see why people are I see why people are doing it, because you can afford to buy more home, or you can afford to get a home if you can go in together as a couple, even if you're unmarried. I just would not get tied up in that at all.
The relationship element makes it stickier than if you looked at it as just a straight business decision. Because as opposed to renting, you're investing. I think if you look at it as a business decision, I think it could work. And if you just so happen to be living together.
The optimism. Shane Stewart, Certified Financial Planner with Deseret Mutual Benefit Administrators. Thank you so much for settling the score here. I mean, maybe I'm just too dramatic about this.
Well, I think you have a point, Debbie. It's a risk, and it's something that home buyers, if they're going to go into a relationship like this, if you will, they're taking risk. The legal system, whether you like it or not, is really set up in this case for a married couple, and including the unwinding of this. A married couple can unwind it. They can go to court. They can, even if there's a divorce, they can sort it. It's set up to sort it out a little easier. But I hate to put a foot in both camps. But Dave's also right. If you're not married and you do decide to take that risk that Debbie, I'm with you, Debbie, I wouldn't take. But if you do decide to take that risk, you do have to think about it more like a business decision than you do a relationship, including setting up the legal entity to own rather than a joint ownership is what I would recommend.
Also like an LLC?
Something like that, okay. Yes. And in fact, joint ownership with anyone other than a spouse is full of pitfalls, and there are problems that can happen. And so setting it up more business-like, more corporation-like is always recommended.
I thought we had done a story in the past, Debbie, about multiple people being on a mortgage. And I think here in Utah, you can even have, is it up to 4 people, 4 different individuals on a mortgage?
And I may have fallen on the side of, do it. But now if it's a boyfriend or girlfriend, don't do it.
Yeah, the relationship makes it trickier, but... is any of that information correct, Shane? I was just going off the top of my head.
We did something on that, Dave. Good memory.
Yes, I don't remember the number, but that sounds right. There are a limited number of people who can be on it. Some of the pitfalls that you find with joint ownership is not just the home that you buy together, but if you go into joint ownership with someone on any kind of asset, you've just opened your both parties up to liability, meaning if 2 people move in and they buy a home together, then one gets sued, the other can be attached or be sued for all of their assets as well. And we've seen a couple cases like that in the past of non-spouse owners being sued as well. So there are just a lot of pitfalls that can happen. And again, I'm a little more with you, Debbie, in that if you haven't committed to your relationship legally in one way, why are you committing to it legally in another? And so you really have to think through, are we really committed to not only each other but to this transaction?
Shane Stewart, thank you for joining us, a certified financial planner with DMBA. And for the record, I'm actually with Debbie on this one. I'm with you. I think it's so academic. Academically, I can look at it and say, okay, it makes sense, but you cannot uncouple the relationship, and the struggles that's going to be, because say you're splitting the mortgage with the person you're living with. Well, what happens when you start making home improvements? Are you documenting all of this?
It's a mess.
It would be a nightmare.
It would be a mess, and feelings are hurt, and then money just creates more animosity and the division of equity, which may or may not happen. But also, I don't advocate getting married so you could buy a house. Don't run to the altar so you can buy a home together, or so you feel like you have more legal buy-in in a home, because Shane put it well. In these situations, the matrimony does protect individuals more versus couples that go and buy a home when they're not married.
But is it fair? So say guy 1 moves in with his girlfriend, girl 1, okay? She owns the home, and he's paying half the mortgage. But when it's all under her name, he might be paying half of it. That's just rent. Say they live together for 15 years, and he's paying half the mortgage, and when they break up, he walks away. He has nothing. He has no claim, and he's been paying off half your mortgage. this woman's mortgage for the last 15 years.
And for the record, I love your scenario that she owns the home.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Before Dave and Debbie get started each day, this station is all news all morning.
And later today, we follow up on those stories as you drive home.
Get important news all morning and all afternoon.
Here on KSL News Radio.
September means it's time for Any Hour Services free furnace sale. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and as summer comes to a close and falls right around the corner, the weather gets, well, perfect. And when the weather's perfect, people need a little extra incentive to replace their heating and cooling system. That's where Any Hour Services free furnace sale comes in. For the month of September, when you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. And there's no catch. There's no raising the price on the air conditioner first. There's no making you buy the most expensive air conditioner to qualify. There's none of that. There's just a desire to keep our technicians working while the weather's mild and a genuine appreciation of you for helping us keep them busy. So if you've been thinking about replacing your old furnace and air conditioner and want to know exactly how much you can save during our free furnace sale, call Any Hour Services today and schedule a free estimate. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
I'm Ty Burrell, actor and small business owner. I'm going to show you my steps for making the perfect radio ad. This one's about innovation refunds and the ERC. First step, be relatable. I like pizza and puppies. 2, cold hard info. The ERC is a tax credit for eligible businesses that kept employees on payroll in 2020 and 2021. So if you qualify, Innovation Refunds Network of Independent Tax Attorneys could help you claim it. 3, go to innovationrefunds.com or call 1-843-REFUNDS.
Innovation Refunds does not provide tax or legal advice. We work with an independent network of tax professionals. Terms and conditions apply. Ty is a paid spokesman.
If you were in the market to sell your home, wouldn't you want to be with Utah's #1 team? That would be the Stern Team. They've been rated #1 by Real Trends for 2022.
I was on the Stern Team's website just the other day. It's sternteam.com, STERN team.com. And I'm a homeowner. I mean, many of you are. You just click on sell and you go to home evaluation. And in less than 30 seconds, you'll find out what the value of your home is. I did, and it was thrilling.
And of course, if you want to get your home out there in front of as many buyers as possible, listen to this. The Stern Team now has over 100 active buyer clients who are looking for a home right now.
And they have all the options you want. Like they have an instant cash offer if that's what you're looking for, or a buy before you sell program. They even have flexible fees customized to your needs.
The average Salt Lake City agent sells 8 homes a year. The Stern Team helps over 400 families reach real estate goals every year.
The Stern Team helps by creating more demand, resulting in more multiple offer situations that will get you more money.
Go to sternteam.com or Google the Stern Team.
Boyd Matheson on the pitfalls of politics. If we want to be an informed news consumer, you have to differentiate between politics and policy. The politics usually is playing to the emotional space. Often we've been conditioned to react inappropriately to anger, fear, frustration, and so on. Policy is always about solutions. You may not agree with it in terms of the path to get there, but that's okay, because you can have a policy discussion based on principles. When you get to the politics, it's more about attacking the other side, demonizing or weaponizing the words of an opponent or someone that you disagree with, or just having contempt that the other side isn't just wrong, but they're wrong and evil. Policy never gets into that space. Policy is, here's a way to get a result. Here's a path to do it. You don't have to agree, but that path is always going to lead you to the best solution.
Join Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson, 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
Emergency traffic on I-15 northbound in Utah County. This is between Center Street and Orem and the Pleasant Grove exit due to a crash. Still blocking 3 right lanes of travel. It's causing a lot of extra congestion on State Street between Linden and American Fork as well. So it's going to take you at least 20 extra minutes no matter which way you go, trying to get out of Utah County toward the Salt Lake Valley. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, special needs students doing better on math learning. according to the latest set of educational assessments. Second, several local players in the NFL had a great first weekend as the season opened. Third, flags are flying at half-staff in Utah in memory of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, just one of many observances across the country. Right now, 74 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
This guy, he's a murderer. I mean, he's been convicted. He's been in prison. But he's a cross between, like, Spider-Man, helter-skelter kind of personality, magician. He has been the focus of a massive manhunt since he escaped a Pennsylvania prison 12 days ago. And he did it by, would you say, crab walking up the two walls, Dave?
Yeah, I don't know totally how to explain it other than there's two walls, and he puts his hands on one side, his feet on the other, and he like walks up and hides
like Spider-Man.
It was straight up Spider-Man. It was insane to watch.
And then what happened this weekend, it was just he escaped the perimeter. They've been closing in on him in Pennsylvania. He escapes the perimeter.
Sometime during the evening of September 9th, Cavalcante stole a 2020 Ford Transit van from an area approximately 3/4 of a mile from the perimeter we were maintaining near the Longwood Gardens property. The keys had been left in the van, and the theft was not noticed until PSP canvassed the area looking for a possible stolen vehicle after a report of a sighting of Cavalcante in the East Pikeland area. It was determined Cavalcante used the van and traveled to that area. At 9:52 p.m., he attempted to contact an individual he had known and worked with several years prior. Photos of Cavalcante were downloaded from a video doorbell. You will note that Cavalcante is now clean-shaven and wearing a bright green hooded sweatshirt.
And is still on the loose.
Yeah.
And you're talking about it, 12 days. How far could you get in 12 days? And where could this person be?
Carl Schmay, retired FBI special agent, was also supervisor with the FBI, joining us live. It seems like this guy he's slick. I mean, he keeps avoiding the cops, and he's been out and about for 12 days now. I mean, first of all, he crab walks up, to get out of the main area he's being held at the prison. Then he has to, scale a fence. He traverses over razor wire. Steals a van this weekend. I mean, what's it going to take, Carl, to catch this guy?
Good morning, Dave, Deb. Yeah, this is like something out of a Hollywood thriller, right?
Yeah.
Clearly, this guy, Cavalcante, is super dedicated, and he's really smart. All the sightings that have been at night, so he's moving at night under the cover of darkness. He's primarily been staying in the woods, and I've been involved in several manhunts, and in thick woods like that, you almost have to step on somebody before you can find them. So, he's played this really smart so far.
I would imagine it's common that they start reaching out to family members, old acquaintances, people they know. Is it more common to do that versus trying to break in and steal something from someone they don't know?
Dave, I think it really depends on the person. In this case, I think he's done both. So I think originally when he broke out, and it seemed like he was within that couple-mile area in that neighborhood near the prison, he was seen with a backpack and he had a sweatshirt. So he did break in, and it was reported that he did break into several homes. So he definitely was breaking into homes of unknown people. And I'm sure what's really frustrating for the police is that some members of the public were really careless, and somebody left their keys in their unlocked car, and that gave him access to a vehicle so he could break the perimeter and get out and then start contacting some of his old associates.
So what's shocking to me, Carl, and by the way, we're speaking with Carl Schmay, a retired FBI special agent, also a supervisor with the Bureau for 20 years, more than 20 years, right? Carl, was it right about 20 years?
Yeah, 22 years.
22 years. 22 years. What's always shocking to me about these escapees, I'm trying to remember back when I was a spokesperson, if I was involved in any of those cases as a spokesperson while you guys were out tracking wanted fugitives. But it always was shocking to me that this guy, for example, in Pennsylvania, he's only 20 miles away. And I'm like, I never want to be that person who's escaping from prison, right? I have no interest in committing any crimes to put me there, but I would be way more than 20 miles away after 12 days. What is it about them that just kind of sticks in that same area?
So I think Cavalcante is just being very careful. The reason he hasn't been caught so far is he's been extremely cautious. I'm sure that when he was in that initial area, he was just hiding in the thickest, nastiest brush. So when law enforcement swept through the area, he stayed out of sight. And he knew that the more he moved around, the more chances there were of sighting him. So by kind of staying, more or less stationary, maybe just venturing out when he needed some supplies, breaking into a house here and there just to get whatever he needed to survive, that's minimized his chances with the public. I think one of the key things, though, with this case, what's going to crack it is there's going to be a public sighting, because now that he's on the move, if he gets another vehicle, there's going to be more chances for interactions with the public. So I think the police so far have done a really good job of keeping the public updated on the sightings. The last place he's been seen, now he's changed his appearance, right? He's got different clothing on, he's shaved. So now this is a problem for not just the people that originally were by the prison, but now there's a broader community that's affected. And so those people need to be smart. They got to keep their heads on a swivel, be looking around for anything suspicious, anything odd, keep their houses locked up, keep their vehicles locked up, and then certainly keep any weapons locked up, right? Because the last thing we want is for this guy to break into a house, get hold of someone's gun, get a car, and then, be on the move even further. Because the more time he's got to move around, the bigger the search perimeter becomes.
What are the rules of engagement, so to speak? How does law enforcement view this person as far as a threat?
I think he's a high threat, and I think law enforcement has been viewing him as that. That's why so many resources have been poured into this. I think Debbie or you mentioned this guy has killed at least 2 people that we know of. So he's committed to surviving, and I think he'll do whatever he needs to do to survive.
Yeah,
including hurting people.
Yeah, he stabbed his girlfriend. He was just convicted of that like 2 weeks ago. Or shortly before he fled, stabbed his girlfriend 38 times in front of her 2 children. So he's all sorts of evil, Carl.
Yeah, that's a brutal crime, right? To be able to stab someone that many times up close, that's different than just shooting someone from far range. So, and that's a good point, Debbie. He used a knife there, so he could get hold of a knife. He could get hold of a screwdriver. There's a lot of things that he could use as a weapon. So that's why people really need to pay attention in their surroundings, for anything that's suspicious. If someone's got a tool shed out back in their yard that it's normally locked up, hey, if they see that thing open, investigate it. Take a look. Because my experience has been typically what cracks a case is finally someone makes a sighting and is able to call 911 immediately.
Carl Schmay, thank you for joining us, retired FBI special agent.
He actually spoke. So we're talking, in case you're just joining us, about this murder suspect who escaped Pennsylvania prison 12 days ago and then escaped outside the perimeter over the weekend that police were closing in on, and managed to get stole a van, drove some 20 miles or several miles north in Pennsylvania, ends up in front of a Ring doorbell camera. And it's his new appearance. He's clean shaven. He's got this green, sweatshirt or vest or
hoodie.
something on, hoodie. Yeah, thanks. And he actually speaks into the doorbell camera. So, but his old buddy, they used to work together. Hasn't seen him. Wasn't home. Didn't answer the door, and so he just, he took off after that. And then eventually the van he'd stolen ran out of gas, and he ditched that too.
Yeah, and we'll continue to follow this, the manhunt that is going on 12 days.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. Police say about 100 people at Salt Lake City's Jewish Community Center had to shelter in place for more than 2 hours Saturday after a threat involving a bomb was called in to 911.
So I don't know where the call originated from. That's part of our ongoing investigation, but they did use technology that allows them to hide their exact phone number or their IP address. So that's part of our investigation.
Salt Lake Police spokesperson Brent Weisberg says they're investigating this as a potential swatting incident. That's a hoax threat that's designed to tie up police resources. Utah Governor Spencer Cox issued an order for American and state flags to be flown at half-staff on all state facilities today. Those flags should remain lowered until sunset tonight in recognition of Patriot Day and the National Day of Servants and Remembrance, remembering the victims of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham in the state of New Mexico facing at least 2 lawsuits in response to the newly announced temporary firearms ban in Albuquerque and Bernalillo County, including from Bernalillo resident Randy Donk, who claims the governor's order violates the Second Amendment. Donk telling ABC News he thinks if the governor's concerned about gun violence in that area, she should focus on the perpetrators rather than the weapons.
We need to take these people off the streets that are causing this violence. It's not the gun that's the problem. It is the people.
Demonstrators gathered in downtown Albuquerque yesterday to rally against the ban, and many there were carrying or wearing guns. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up on the day 79 points right now. The NASDAQ is up 96 points. And our KSL weather, a couple of days from now, we'll be looking at another potential thunderstorm. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
Early mornings can be hard enough, just getting yourself going.
We try to make it a little easier with news and weather from comfortable, trusted anchors and reporters.
Join us on Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9
on KSL News Radio.
Take a second and think about how many different software systems you have in order to manage the people who work for you, and of course the people you want to work for you. There's the applicant tracking, the new hire onboarding, your paid time off, your payroll, time and attendance, your online employee benefits enrollment, ACA compliance, your COBRA compliance, and the list is not just daunting, but it seems every time you turn around, it's growing. It's time you quit losing sleep over that list and let someone else do it for you. Magellan HCM has the technology and local service team to pull all those systems and services into one place, simplifying the process for everyone and significantly reducing the errors that will always occur when you're managing all those tasks in different systems. There is a better way. Magellan HCM. Text HCM to 57500 and set up a demo of their highly awarded technology and see for yourself what a difference Magellan can make for you and your company. Text HCM to 57500.
As the weather turns colder, this is when you need to get those new windows. So call Advanced Window Products. They'll replace your single-pane, rickety old windows with stylish, state-of-the-art double-pane windows with precision frames. You pick the style and color. They're custom-made right here in Salt Lake City. This company is so Utah. It's run by 2 guys who grew up here, Jake Weber and Utes defensive star Nate Orchard, the mayor of Sacktown with 7 NFL seasons under his belt. Great guys, great company building high-quality windows for 37 years. Unlike other companies, they build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. No middleman. There's Jake, Nate, and their team, and there's you. Saving on the highest quality windows. Right now, before winter, get $2,000 off 10 windows or more, and they offer 60 months, 0% financing. So call Advanced Window Products now. You could have stylish new windows in 8 weeks. 801-850-9100. 801-850-9100 or visit AdvancedWindowsUSA.com.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, what are you waiting for? Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
The Utah RV Super Show, the premier RV event of the year, is back at Mountain America Expo, Thursday, September 14th through Sunday, September 17th. Come see the new 2024 models and special closeout pricing on all 2023 models. Bring a can of food for the Utah Food Bank and get $1 off per can, up to half off adult admission. Unplug from distractions and plug into your family at the Utah RV Super Show. Discount passes at UtahRVSupershow.com.
Emergency traffic brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Ricky Meese.
Right now, the delays continue in Utah County due to a crash northbound I-15 approaching Pleasant Grove Boulevard. Now, if you are stuck in these delays, they are now reaching into Orem at about 800 North, and these are stop-and-go speeds. At the crash, we have a couple of right lanes blocked northbound I-15 as you're going from Linden to Pleasant Grove. And right now, the overflow is hitting State Street as well as 700 North. We also have a crash in South Salt Lake, 3900 South, about 200 West. And also an accident is pulled out of traffic now on I-15 at 4500 South. Is your car due for some extra love? Burt Brothers is here for your vehicle's routine maintenance, all done by our ASC certified technicians. Burt Brothers, affordable, complete auto care done better. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, mostly sunny today with clouds moving in tomorrow and a chance of thunderstorms on Wednesday. High today 87, tomorrow 82, and right now we're at 75 degrees under sunny skies at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The story that has been top of mind for millions of Americans today.
James Marcel Cartier.
Sharon Ann Carver.
Remembering
Vivian
9/11. 22
John
years later.
Francis Cazaza.
Once again, the reading of the names at the memorial in New York City this morning, it's just gut-wrenching.
There are a few times in my life that have stuck with me more than 9/11, and today as we remember that day, 22 years ago. Debbie, I just started in the news business, and I will never forget the devastation, watching it unfold, because we know so much now. But when I take myself back to that day, and you said something interesting early in the show. You said initially we thought it was maybe just a small little plane, a Cessna, something that just ran in. The idea that it was a ginormous jetliner
never crossed my mind.
No, me either.
Not even a thought. When, in fact, I was live on the air. I was in South Jordan reporting live for KSL5 television. And back then, our anchors on the morning show were Kim Johnson and Terry Wood. And I heard them, there's the behind the scenes. Listeners and viewers don't often get to see how the sausage is made. But behind the scenes, there's always chatter in our ears, right? We wear what's called IFBs when we're out in the field and when we're on set. And so our producers or somebody in the control room can talk. We can talk back to them. We have ways to talk and communicate off air. And I could hear the confusion, going on behind the scenes, that we weren't quite sure what it was. And then Terry Wood making the decision that we have to go with this because this has got to be a big deal. And we did. We went with it. And then ultimately the network took over the broadcast. But it was so close to when we were winding down our morning show, local morning show, that naturally the Today Show then took over. And then we started to become more clear about what was going on. And I remember getting to my car. Do you remember everything about that day? I remember everything about that day. I remember getting in my car. I remember calling my husband right away, and he was a police officer. And I thought, he'll calm me down. He will calm me down. That's the role he played in our marriage. It was like he was awesome at calming me down. And he said, "It just keeps happening, Deb." And I got, he said, "It just keeps happening." And then I tuned in and I listened to KSL News Radio, and I got to the newsroom here. And quite honestly, none of us knew where to start or what to do. It was confusion and complications and fear. We just didn't even know what to do in the moment, and then the anxiety over watching what was unfolding specifically in New York, because that was so visible with those twin towers, the smoke coming from it, and the people that were trying to escape, and the firefighters and the police officers who were arriving on the scene. That's where we were really focusing our attention on. And then, of course, that the field where Flight 93 went down, and then the Pentagon, it just all started to come together. And here we are 22 years later, and it's like we're still in that moment.
Yeah, and it wasn't just 9/11 itself. It was the next 22 years where in some way or another we are still suffering the effects. We had a 20-year war in Afghanistan that cost thousands of lives here in Utah, military service men and women that sacrificed their lives in this war in response to what happened on 9/11.
Chief Brian Case with Task Force 1 live on the line. You were in New York. You went to New York right after 9/11?
Yeah, that's correct. We were there for 9 days working there at Ground Zero. That's correct.
What did that work look like?
As you can imagine from what was depicted in the media, it was an absolute mess in a relatively small footprint. We were conducting searches for what we would be survivors, but we ended up just finding, as you can imagine, just small pieces of remains along with other evidence of what had happened. So yeah, nine straight days of that.
Oh my goodness. How has it been for you and those, if you've kept in contact, over the years, processing through that?
That's a great question. We do a pretty good job of maintaining contact and doing information shares. We've attempted to maintain contact with all of our members. Many of them have retired. But it's a pretty tight-knit group, as you could well imagine. This was a pretty monumental event that draws us close together, and we have something rather unique in a shared response. So we do maintain contact. There are still quite a few of us that are still on the job, but many have retired and moved on. Yeah.
When those planes first hit the towers and you were watching this unfold on television like the rest of us, with your training and your expertise, what did you see or what was going through your mind as you were watching, and what were some of the concerns that came to you?
Yeah, sure. I like most people, there's a few events like this that stick in your brain and you'll never forget it. So I was actually at a charity golf tournament when all of this was going down, and so I was not really necessarily glued to a television like many people. However, like a lot of other folks that I was with golfing, a lot of firefighters, we started getting a lot of phone calls, and very soon we got texts asking us to report to our headquarters to get ready to go. And it wasn't until we showed up at our headquarters for a lot of us that we actually really got to understand what was going on. And so by that time, both planes had hit, and it was pretty clear that this was not an accident. So it was all hands on deck in preparation for leaving Salt Lake and deploying to the World Trade Center.
We're on the line right now live with Chief Brian Case. He's with Task Force 1. He was one of many who responded to New York from all over the nation, and other sites, the Pentagon as well. There was Flight 93 that went down in the field in Pennsylvania that didn't make it to its intended target, thank goodness, because of the heroism that transpired on board that plane today by the passengers who ultimately lost their lives as well. Chief, your description of what was going on that day and in the days that ensued really explains why there's a statistic. I didn't realize and I feel badly for not knowing this, that 40% of the remains have yet to be identified because it was just impossible to know who these individuals were because of the damage to the buildings.
Yeah, the devastation was pretty amazing. If it wasn't crushed, it was burned. To spend 9 days there and really not come up with anything really definitive. We had so few finds, if you will, that were discernible as being someone who had perished. It was a difficult task, not only for the rescuers, but for the canines that we had there on the pile with us. We ended up having to reward the canines as part of their training and part of their work in a different way. And so, it was a rather unique watershed moment for our system with FEMA Urban Search and Rescue. That's a program.
We gotta let you go, but I was just there, and you described it so well. The footprint was so small. I was at the memorial, and I was surprised at how small that area actually was at where the Twin Towers once stood. Was there just so much rubble that it was just impossible to get through all of that?
Yeah, it was kind of back and forth between removing items by hand in a more delicate sense and then allowing heavy equipment to come in and remove larger pieces, and it was just kind of a back and forth that way. I want to say, for the listeners that this is important work. We are a unique program. And on behalf of all the members of this task force and the 62 that responded that day, I want to tell everybody that we feel like this is important, and we don't feel like we have to do this work. We feel like we get to do this work, and that was evidenced by some of the interactions that we had with some of the people there in New York before we made our way back home, and how important it was for us to be there to lend a hand.
Chief Case, thank you for joining us. Task Force 1.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hey, stay right here for more of Dave and Dujanovic.
And tomorrow morning, come back here for news, traffic updates, and reliable weather.
Join us to have a listen. Tim and Amanda.
Your morning companions for news.
It's about to get real for the BYU Cougars.
Get to the end zone, touchdown!
This Saturday, the Cougs take on Arkansas from the Powerhouse SEC Conference. Here's how to get ready. First, listen to Cougar Nation take your calls Monday at 6. Also, subscribe for BYU updates by texting the letters BYU to 57500. And then tune in for our special extended pregame coverage. Saturday starting at noon. We're Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio.
If you own or operate a business, whether it's a local operation or a global corporation, partnering with Bank of America could be your smartest move. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll enjoy exclusive digital tools, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter. Position your business to capitalize on opportunity in a moment's notice. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, N.A. Copyright 2023.
Higher taxes, soaring inflation, record low interest rates, and the skyrocketing cost of healthcare. The list goes on. Retiring successfully today is a lot more complicated than ever before. Learn how you can tackle the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement today. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio. It's this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
Tell me about it. Did you have any idea that was going on?
None. I mean, you saw Derek at the game last night, too. Did you have a clue?
No, but teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do. Kids hear first about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
It can be hard to tell sometimes, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, bullying, violence, anything, you need to tell an adult. Mom or me, a teacher, coach, school counselor, someone you know and trust.
Dad, no kid is gonna tell an adult about that kind of stuff.
I get it, but if we don't know, we can't help. Speaking up about a problem, that's what helping a friend is all about.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
I'm Andy Farnsworth from KSL News Radio.
And I'm Kellyanne Halverson.
And we're hosts of KSL's Fan Effect podcast.
That's Fan Effect with an E.
We're excited to share with you our knowledge
and arguments.
On everything pop culture and fandom, featuring movie and television reviews, pop culture deep dives into video games, cosplay, fandom events, and more. Listen regularly on your favorite podcast platform at kslnewsradio.com, kslpodcasts.com, or on the KSL News Radio app.
And remember, that's Fan Effect with an E.
This week's movie show is brought to you by Sound Sleep Medical. Get a free sleep screening, and a free sleep consultation by tuning in on Friday morning. Sound Sleep Medical with 7 locations in Utah.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. This is in Utah County, a crash blocking multiple right lanes of travel northbound I-15 just before the Pleasant Grove Boulevard exit. It is causing stop-and-go delays back to about 800 north. If you can take an alternate route, you want to consider that, but we're already seeing overflow delays on State Street in Linden and Pleasant Grove. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, took a couple of hours for police to secure the Jewish Community Center in Salt Lake City yesterday after somebody phoned in a bomb threat. Second, Utah's governor has ordered flags flown at half-staff in memory of the victims of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Third, the governor of New Mexico getting some angry pushback after ordering a ban on carrying guns in Albuquerque. Right now, 75 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. And back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
There's an opinion piece at Deseret.com. I'm looking at it right now. I pulled it up on my computer. We're going to talk about it. Does Utah's social media law respect teens' rights? And it's written by the person who wrote this is going to join us in just a moment. But this is that law, Dave, that makes it so it requires mandates age verification for all users and restricts the hours teens can use social media. It's really kind of a first of its kind law across the nation, and it goes into effect, I think it's next year.
We kind of say it in jest sometimes, like, you have no rights, kids. We, the parents, are the sole holders of rights in this family. And sometimes I say it in jest, but I think it does bring up a good question. We should look and say, okay, in our effort to protect our kids, are we crossing the line by passing some of these laws that take away their opportunity to be online?
Well, you have kids that are in this age category. Mine are all adults, so I don't really have a dog in this fight. It's at least from my parenting side of things. I mean, as a journalist, I care and I'm interested, but as a parent, I come from my time has passed, Dave. So, what do you think about it?
I think parents need to make these rules, not the state of Utah. Like, fundamentally, I get what they're doing and what they're trying to do, and I appreciate you being concerned about my kids. I'm just not sure it's the state or federal government's job to tell me, the parent, what my kids can and cannot look at.
So, are you okay with the age verification, though? That part of it? And
but I don't
know how that's going to be done yet. I'm not sure we have a real good idea yet of how the social media companies are going to age verify the kids who are using social media. But you're okay with that, then?
Yeah, the verification, I think the fact that you can have unauthorized or anonymous accounts is the worst thing that ever happened to social media.
Okay.
I think being able to tie a person to the account, have them responsible, is the absolute most necessary thing on social media.
Dave and I talking about an opinion piece that is at Deseret.com. It's in the Deseret News. Will Utah social media law help or hurt teens? Actually, the online title of it, does Utah's social media law respect teens' rights? Stephen Balcom, I hope I said that right, is the founder and CEO of the Family Online Safety Institute. You wrote the opinion piece that is in the Deseret News. What do you think about, and what does your organization think about this law?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on. I mean, obviously, we welcome any effort to make kids safer online, and that's our mission as an organization. The problem becomes getting the balance right between safety and privacy on the one hand, and between parents' rights and responsibilities to protect their kids, and kids, and particularly older teens' rights of access to content, their ability to express themselves and socialize. So, you know, we applaud the effort, the nuance, it's in the fine details of how you legislate this issue.
So is there a balance that you see moving forward? If this is a bridge too far, what do you think is an appropriate compromise?
I mean, first of all, we are definitely not against, government at the federal or the state level taking action. Quite the contrary. We've been big supporters of the COPPA, the Child Online Privacy Protection Act, over many years. And we have state legislators as well as federal legislators to our conferences and events. And in fact, we're having one tomorrow in Salt Lake City that folks listening to this are welcome to. But the problem becomes when, for instance, you were just talking about age assurance earlier and identification. You have a balance again between effectiveness on the one hand and invasiveness on the other. Yeah. The more effective an age assurance or or identifying mechanism becomes, the more invasive it often has to be, particularly in terms of collecting personally identifiable information, and doing that with a minor becomes incredibly sensitive, particularly if that information is later hacked.
So, Stephen, then, are you concerned about the age verification component of Utah's new social media restrictions law, where social media companies will be mandated to age verify a child before they're allowed to open an account? Is that where your heartburn is?
That's certainly heartburn. There's, from our reading of the bill, it looks as if everyone will have to be age verified. Again, that's one of the problems. If you're going to verify a child, you will also have to verify adults and make them distinct. One thing about anyone over a certain age, say 17, 18, is typically they will have a driver's license or some kind of government-issued ID. A 13, a 14, a 15-year-old typically does not, nor do they have a credit card. And so what starts to happen is you have to then collect other kinds of information from other people, typically their parents, sometimes from schools, and that in itself can become problematic. So it's not that we're against the notion of age verification, age assurance. It's just that some of the methods that have been used so far then cause different unintended consequences.
Do the kids have a right to access social media, post on it, make money off of it?
Well, let's ask it in a slightly different way. I think we all agree that anyone who's 18, an adult, has the right to free speech and to privacy and all the rest of it. And a newborn child has zero rights. It's just a pretty obvious common sense statement. But then the question for us is, between 0 and 18, does it remain a 0% right to anything until your 18th birthday, or is there a gradual rise? Is there an expectation that as you become 15, 16, 17 years old, you have some rights to seek out information, to express yourself freely online? We philosophically believe that there is. Now, parents still have responsibility to talk with their child, to set ground rules, and even have punishments if they go beyond those rules. But we don't think that there should be a blanket ban on anyone under the age of 18 unless their parents specifically say you are allowed to do X, Y, or Z.
Well, thank you for joining us. Stephen Balcom is the CEO of the Family Online Safety Institute.
Yeah, if you want to read the full piece at Deseret.com, does Utah's social media law respect teens' rights? The subtitle, we support many of the governor's recommendations for parents, but the campaign misses a major opportunity by focusing on the negative impact of social media. It's thought-provoking. The law has not officially taken effect. It takes effect next year. It's a story we've been tracking here since the very beginning when lawmakers were debating it. We'll continue to track it. But right now, it looks like it's on par to take effect. We'll see if something gets in the way of that in the next few months. Next, glad to see that a retired New York firefighter who was on the scene during 9/11 is calling the show next to share his experiences and the ongoing impacts of that day.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. In Weber County today, the Weber Remembers 9/11 project aims to educate people about what happened on this fateful day 22 years ago. Jenny Taylor, a Gold Star widow, former wife of Utah National Guard Major Brent Taylor, says the event is all about service.
The goal is to train, honor, and engage. We want to train you how to be a good leader, service-oriented, honor those who are serving, and above all, we want to engage you in service because we think that's where people come together. That's where you feel patriotism. That's where you bridge the gap between young and old, black and white, whatever divisions we have in our country, we unite through service.
The event was held at the Golden Spike Event Center. An 18-year-old man has died after a shooting in Sugar House near 9th East and 21st South early Sunday morning. Witnesses tell Salt Lake City police a fight happened near the Walgreens at that neighborhood just before the shooting. The suspect pulled away in a car afterward. Police are asking anyone with information to come forward, but no arrests have been made yet. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The county sheriff in Albuquerque, New Mexico, won't be enforcing the new temporary ban on open and concealed carry laws declared by Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. The ban applies to firearms carried on public property. It's supposed to last 30 days. Grisham says she enacted the ban because gun violence is a public health emergency, but Bernalillo County Sheriff John Allen argues it will only harm law-abiding gun owners.
In reference to concealed carry and open carry, the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office will not enforce this segment of the order. While I understand the urgency, the temporary ban challenges the foundations of our Constitution, but most importantly, it is unconstitutional.
Many gun owners turned out for a demonstration in Albuquerque yesterday and brought their guns with them. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up 92 points on the day. The NASDAQ is having a stronger day, up 133 right now. And our KSL weather, we've got sunshine today, clouds moving in tomorrow. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
What do you need to hear in the morning to feel ready for the day?
Important news that happened overnight, the traffic you'll hit on the roads.
You'll be ready for your day with us.
Join Utah's Morning News, 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Debbie, I was looking over the list of things that Master Electrical can help you out with. Lights, obviously, I love recessed lighting. I don't know what happened in 1978 when they built my home, but so help me, they thought, you know what? This is going to be a lamp house. Like, we're not going to do anything where you can flip on a light and have it, come from the ceiling. I swear, everything was lamp. So we have been installing for years more light, more light, more light.
Modernizing your home.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, giving it that nice glow from above. Master Electrical has this upfront pricing too, Dave. We've been talking about it. I think upfront pricing is the way to go. The price that you're quoted up front for those new recess lights, I call them cam lights, recess lights that you need in your home, is the price you get at the end of the project. It's the price you pay at the end. It's no surprises with Master Electrical. What you see on the bid is what you get at the end.
Yeah, they call it their upfront pricing guarantee, and they will serve you from Logan to Santaquin. So if you live in between there, including Logan and Santaquin, they'll take care of you.
And they proudly serve tons and tons of Utahns, Logan to Santaquin. In fact, I was driving by Santaquin the other day, Dave, to go to southern Utah, and I went, wow, this is quite a ways from Salt Lake City. They cover you, Santaquin. They cover you, Logan, and everyone in between.
801-543-2222. That's 801-543-2222.
Or check them out online at masterelectrical.com.
Hey guys, Alex and Scott for Alpine Home Medical. You've heard us talking about and singing the praises of Alpine Home Medical for years, because if you're talking about getting home medical supplies, these are the folks who are going to do it for you at the best price. They're local. They know how to treat their customers. Scott, we've had a lot of experiences with the folks at Alpine Home Medical over the years.
And they really do know how to treat you, because it can be a scary thing. You go online, you don't know what to get. You're not sure about things. You walk in the store and they're going to take care of you from the minute you get there. You're going to sit down with a professional. They're going to work through your insurance. They're going to get you the right supplies for yourself. I have a CPAP machine. I've been in, I've done this, and they're incredible, but it's not just when you're in the store, it's after you leave. They're going to take care of you, call, make sure everything's just right. These medical devices are important, and you want to feel safe, and you want to feel secure, and you want to feel you got the right thing to take care of yourself.
It's everything, too. The power scooters, the CPAP machines, any home medical supplies, they're going to be able to take care of you. And they've got great news. Brand new store in Tooele. They've been trying to expand to Tooele for years, and then here they are now. Go to alpinehomemedical.com to find a location near you. We're excited to see you out there in Tooele, folks. alpinehomemedical.com.
Every business seeks an advantage, whether it's having the best location, hiring top talent, or spotting trends before they happen. And now, the United States Postal Service can give your business a new advantage. Introducing USPS Ground Advantage. Reliable and affordable 2 to 5 day package shipping. It's the advantage you need at the price you want. Get the Ground Advantage at USPS.com/advantage. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Join KSL News Radio's Jeff Kaplan on Thursday from 4 till 8 at the Mill Creek Business Market at Mill Creek Common. Join over 40 local businesses at the Mill Creek Business Market and enjoy fresh cut flowers, haircuts, Thai food, skincare products, henna tattoos, jewelry, dog treats and toys, boba, and more. There'll be skating, food trucks, and free twisted sugar drinks and cookies for the first 100 attendees. Courtesy of U.S. Bank. It's KSL in your community in Mill Creek with KSL News Radio.
We have emergency traffic brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Ricky Meese.
No relief or improvement with the delays that we have in Utah County on northbound I-15. It's all due to a crash just before Pleasant Grove Boulevard. Right lanes are still blocked, and that means all traffic is funneling through the left lanes, a couple of left lanes of travel, and we have stop-and-go delays that linger back to 800 North in Orem. We also have a new accident westbound I-80 at the I-15 junction. It's been moved to the Gore area. Found your dream house, but not your dream rate? Make your purchase with a home loan from Cypress Credit Union. Refinance within 12 months if rates drop, and we'll take care of the refinancing fees. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, mostly sunny today with clouds moving in tomorrow and a chance of thunderstorms on Wednesday. Today's high 87, tomorrow 82. Right now we're at 76 degrees and sunny at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic.
It has been 22 years since 2,977 people lost their lives on 9/11/2001.
Arcelia Castillo.
Lerner M. Castriano.
Jose Ramon Castro.
William E.
There's few times, Debbie, in my life that are as vivid as 9/11. And I remember from the moment I woke up, I had my buddy call me, and I was sleeping, and he called me. He's like, turn on the television. I'm like, what's going on? He said, just turn on the television. And I watched it. The second plane had not hit the tower yet. And I was watching it unfold and just shocked. And immediately I just started working at Channel 4 as a video editor. And as soon as I saw that second plane hit, I just left to drive to the station. I hadn't been called in or anything because I knew this is going to be one of the most monumental days in history.
Lieutenant Steve Cascarelli is a retired New York firefighter. Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, thank you so much for taking time out of your day today on this historic day to join the show. And, you know, Dave's experience that he just described here was the experience that so many of us here in Utah had, but you were there. You were there that day.
Yes, I was.
You know, walk us through what you remember.
Oh, boy, that's a lot of things, but what I remember initially when we got there is the total devastation that occurred to that 16-acre plot of land. There used to be seven World Trade Center buildings. Each and every one of them was utterly and completely destroyed. Another thing that struck me was how something so big, like the towers, which were 110 stories tall, was reduced to a pile of debris, not much more higher than a 10-story building. And it was somewhere in there where there was a lot of people that were buried that died, and we actually found a few people up to 18 the following day that did survive it. We were able to get them out.
How was that even possible? As you were walking onto that scene,
right?
How could you have any hope whatsoever that anyone would still be alive?
I was stunned. You know, looking at it, you would have bet that no one made it through. But there was a stairway that somewhere around 8 to 10 firemen and a couple of civilians, they had gone up in the building to go search, and they found them, and they were coming down with them. They were trapped in the stairway. By some stroke of luck, the building just collapsed around the stairway, and that stairway was spared. They all made it out alive without much more than a scratch. They had to be dug out. They had to get some heavy machinery to break through the concrete into that stairway to get them out, but we got them. And then there were other people that were trapped in these voids that were very, very badly injured. And but we got them out, and they healed up from their wounds. So I was stunned that many people did survive it.
Lieutenant Steve Cascarelli is a retired fighter from New York. He was there that day. He responded to the Twin Towers and the terrorist attacks there. And we could talk to you for hours about this, I no doubt.
Yeah.
So first, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you did and all you could do and what you gave. And talk to us about what it was like emotionally for you in the days and years that followed.
Yeah, emotionally, certainly it was extremely difficult. I had to develop some kind of a coping device, especially at that time while I was working down there to manage to continue working. My job shifted very differently from what everybody else was doing down there. I was reassigned to the command post. Part of my job was communicating with all the field units out there and getting them resources that they needed. And so I got to talk to people all day long. And I needed to – what I did was I put this all of the death and destruction to the back of my head. I tried to make myself emotionally numb to it, and it worked for me for a good while. I went home that way. I stayed that way. I came back to work that way. But a couple of weeks into the operation, that humanity in me came back. But for the time being, though, that was my coping mechanism. As time went on after it, I did need some help with that. You know, the fire department developed a counseling service unit, and I eventually had to go in and talk to people about what had happened and have them help me, teach me ways of coping with it.
One of the things I remember, and especially in comparison to what's going on right now and the division in America, was the complete and total unity that we felt shortly afterwards. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, and you're accurate with that, especially from what we were experiencing while we were there. There were people really coming in from all over the country. I met people as far away as Alaska that was coming in to help out, and the unity was definitely there. It was really great to see that. I had experienced it too. I traveled a little bit several months after the collapse had occurred, and like out in California, and the unity out there that people were showing me was just incredible. Just incredible. They were trying to tell me how much they were helping and the collections that they made and things that they donated to send in. Some communities collected money to buy us new fire trucks. We were severely depleted in equipment down there, as a lot of them, about 125 pieces of apparatus, were completely destroyed. They were crushed. So we were very, very short-handed. So, like I said, people were collecting money, buying a fire truck, and driving it back to New York for us. So the unity at the time was overwhelming in a positive way. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. I know you've done it for decades. And I think it's part of what helps us to remember and never forget. Thank you, Steve Cascarelli.
And you're going to be at the Weber Remembers exhibit, Lieutenant, today?
I'm here right now.
Okay.
I'm going to be here till 9 o'clock tonight. So if anybody are coming down, I'm more than willing to talk to you. Sure.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here in Utah for this event. It's at the Weber County Fair. He and many others at the event. It's an exhibit. Dave, you thought about maybe taking your family there this evening.
Yeah, I'd love it. 9 p.m. is when it closes, right?
9 p.m. It closes tonight at the Weber County Fairgrounds. Weber Remembers. Make sure you shake hands with the lieutenant, the good lieutenant there, and get a photo and post that on social media. We need to give him a big social media hug. Him and all of his fellow firefighters and police officers who responded that day. Hundreds of them lost their lives that day, and then hundreds more have since lost their lives due to illnesses that are a result of their exposure to the dust and the toxins that were ensuing, that filled the air as a result of the collapse of those Twin Towers. Next, our very own Jeff Kaplan is going to join us. He was on the air in the New York area the day the Twin Towers were collapsing, and he's going to help us remember 9/11 as only Jeff can. Next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Did you know Utah has just one all-news station in the morning?
It's this one. Weekday mornings between 5 and 9.
Start your days with us. We're Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Your morning companions for news.
Happy 62nd birthday, Granddad.
Thanks, sweetheart.
I got you this.
A mug. Oh, thank you. What does it say? Beware. If you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of hospitalization from RSV. Respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Ever feel like your insurance company doesn't know you?
Insurance Corporation will issue generic plans where agricultural activities occur.
Only a human can visit your farm or ranch to know what you need.
Find out why Farm Bureau Financial Services has been the #1 ag insurer for 25 years. It's your future. Let's protect it. Talk to an agent today or visit fbfs.com/protect. #1 ag insurer across our territory. 1996 to 2021 SNL P&C Group Direct Written Premium.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips that you plan in advance, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing? Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our 15s. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
The best value in live TV and streaming is with Xfinity Internet and Now TV. It's the best network for watching all the entertainment you love without missing a beat, including live TV and sports. All your favorite shows and movies on a network made for streaming. Watch what you want, when you want. All you have to do is just sit back and enjoy. Get way more into what you're into. Stream on the next generation Xfinity 10G network. Switch today to get a great deal on a great deal of entertainment. And speaking of great deals, now through September 21st, get 1.2 gig internet on the 10G network for just $25 a month for 2 years when you add Xfinity Mobile with unlimited data. Plus, there's no annual contract and you get Wi-Fi equipment included. Plus, add Now TV with Peacock Premium, a $5.99 a month value included at no extra cost for just $20 a month. Switch today. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Now TV requires Xfinity Internet, taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet after promo. Regular rates apply to internet service and Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Get Healthy Utah is a nonprofit organization working to improve healthy eating and active living in the state. It envisions a Utah where a culture of health permeates every Utah community. Executive Director Alicia Duquara joins us with more.
Many people think of healthy behavior as an individual responsibility. At Get Healthy Utah, we understand that our health also depends on where we live, work, and play. Imagine two people. One lives in a neighborhood without safe walking or biking paths, a dozen fast food places but no grocery store, and a work environment of donuts and sitting all day. The other lives near parks, trails, grocery stores, and community gardens. Their employer has a great wellness program with paid time to exercise. Who's more likely to have a higher quality of life and productivity? Get Healthy Utah's mission is to improve the healthy eating, active living, and mental well-being. We partner with leaders across the state to build healthy communities through initiatives like the Healthy Utah Community Designation. Everyone can help improve the health of Utahns. We invite you to our annual Get Healthy Utah Stakeholder Retreat on October 4th to learn more.
Get Healthy Utah works with schools, workplaces, and communities to create lasting changes that improve health. They advocate for sound policies, aligned efforts across sectors, and address problems at the system level. For more information, visit gethealthyutah.org. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Jenny Taylor leading a 9/11 memorial observance today in Ogden. Second, an 18-year-old man died after a shooting in Sugar House over the weekend. Third, the sheriff in Albuquerque is not enforcing a ban on guns in public places declared by New Mexico's governor. Right now, 76 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
I was driving home on Thursday, and I was tuned into Jeff Kaplan's show. And, Jeff, you moved me to tears. You just moved me to tears.
The minute of news, I think, is what you must be talking about. I'm really troubled why this event still bothers me and reduces me to tears 22 years later. I feel like I should be over it, but I'm not. I know everybody grieves differently, but I'm not.
Why is it, do you think, to this day? Because there's so many things that have happened to this country that are heartbreaking and devastating. Why is it that this one is so unique?
For me, because I was there in the thick of it, I was on the radio. The TV stations were off the air, and the radio was the conduit to the public, and it was my job to look out the window and see it all happening, and it was my job to tell people to run.
Jeff.
And so it's tactile, and I remember the people crying in the newsroom, and there was this one image that sticks with me like 5 years later. I'm just thumbing through the TV, and I happened upon, it was September 11th, I was just looking for light entertainment, whatever, and I happened upon a 9/11 special that showed how people reacted just using their videos. And there was one video of people gathered around a radio on a street corner listening to me and reacting in horror to what they're hearing come out of my mouth in the studio. And it's those kind of things I cannot shake.
Jeff Kaplan, of course, host here at KSL News Radio, Afternoon Drive from 3 to 7 p.m. He was also working in New Jersey when the World Trade Center, the towers were struck by two planes. And then, of course, we all have the images of what happened. For many of us, though, Jeff, it was from afar. You were right there. And as I was listening to you kind of go back through what happened in your recollection from that day when I was listening to your show on Thursday, and you did say something to the effect of, I feel like I should be over this by now, but I'm not. And give yourself permission to grieve it, to continue to grieve it.
I don't know if you have a moment. Let me tell you a quick story from this morning. I have a family emergency, and I'm now in New Jersey, just happenstance on this day. And this morning at about 6:30, because it's a family emergency and whatever, I had to call United Airlines on behalf of a family member. And I'm on the phone with a representative from United Airlines, and, we're just talking. And I mentioned it's a family emergency. It involves a hospital. I have to change somebody's ticket. And I hear the Star-Spangled Banner in the background because my mom put on her TV, and they're singing the Star-Spangled Banner, starting the ceremony at Ground Zero for the United Airlines plane that crashed into that tower. And, of course, the person I'm talking to, the agent from United, is clueless, and she just says to me, "Have a splendid day." And the juxtaposition of that just made me explosively angry. Grief takes weird courses for different people.
Jeff, as you remember this day, I remember as we were all working in the news business at the time, it was like time had no meaning. I have no idea how it was. You worked. Everyone was working all day, and I don't even remember it. It was almost a blur because nobody even thought about going home because it just felt like the little that we could do, what we could supply, and the information, because people were just so desperate for information. How long were you on the air as you were trying to report this?
I was on the air for 8 hours, 5 hours or 4 hours before the planes hit, and then for hours afterwards, 3-4 hours. And afterwards, I couldn't go home because I couldn't leave Manhattan. They shut all the exits, and I ended up living in a soap opera dressing room, which sounds cool, but is actually as glamorous as being in a prison cell. And I couldn't get home for a couple of days.
And what was that like in the days that followed? Trying to stay on the air, keep your energy about you, but yet that so many people had lost their lives and 6,000 people were injured.
Well, you were just driven by duty. You had no idea how many people were dead, nor how many were injured. You just reported on the walls where posters were going up. Have you seen? Everywhere in New York City. And you would just walk by and you see all these faces that you wonder if they would ever be seen again. You could relate to this. For about 7 days afterwards, there were no commercials. There was just providing service. It's all we could do was keep going and keep going and keep going because there was so much we didn't know and the public needed to know.
Jeff Kaplan, thank you for joining us. Jeff's in New Jersey right now on 9/11, where he reported. He was working in radio and was reporting for days. Jeff, thank you for sharing your story.
And then fast forward.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Jeff. Fast forward to May of 2011 when President Obama walked to a podium one evening and all of the networks covered it and said that we had captured Osama bin Laden, and we had disposed of his body.
Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda, and a terrorist who's responsible for the murder of thousands of innocent men, women, and children.